Hello and welcome to the 6th SunnySide Developer Livestream. My name is Sivash, aka Rainy, with my co-host Sydney, aka Fem, this way. Thank you so much for making us part of your Sunday, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. If not, that's okay. We have a lot of announcements today that would hopefully make your day a little bit better. But yeah, lots of announcements today, so if you have friends who are interested in SunnySide, go grab them, give them a link to the stream. Don't miss this one. There's going to be a lot. But hello, hi everyone. Welcome. That was
I know, hi.
Big one.
You always start these with so much enthusiasm, and I'm just like, I'm here.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I was quiet in these streams for so long.
True.
And now you make me actually appear with you.
Hello.
But hello, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. It's I know it's hot here in Texas. I don't know if it's hot in the rest of the world. But I'm ready for fall to actually start. I don't know about anybody else. Yeah, that's a new tune. It's a special one. We really like it. Ooh, hello from Indonesia. That's exciting. Probably not hot in Indonesia right now.
I mean, let's see.
Maybe? Colorado? It's probably nice and cool in Colorado.
In Jakarta, is 29 degrees Celsius, which is about 84 Fahrenheit. So
never mind. It's just as hot there as it is here.
The humidity 74%. So if you're in Jakarta. In the UK, yes, Natalie, I'm with you. It's yeah, it's very cold already. As soon as like October hits, it's just cold. It's just very
I wish. I feel like in the US it's like November is when everybody gets cold. October's like some people get it, some people don't. It depends where you're at. From the Bath or like Bath UK?
What is the bath?
Yeah, like the bathtub?
Oh, right. Because I always
Did I get a new haircut? Actually, yes, I did. I've been going. I'm always loud. Let me check the balance on the stream real quick. I'm always way too loud.
Hold on, I can turn you.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what?
God. Yeah, I'm way loud.
There we go. I had to adjust you on my own side because.
Oh, and you're super quiet. Yeah, I always drown him out. Always.
Pretty accurate in real life too.
Thanks.
Check. But yeah,
but yeah, to answer the question, I did get a haircut. Actually on Thursday. I think when you all met me, my hair was still long, and then it's just been slowly getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. Eventually, I'll probably just buzz it all off because I get sick of it.
You know, RG, you mentioned that it's rainy season in your place. That's a very interesting thing because it doesn't sound interesting, I know, but trust me. This has been a big discussion in the studio because there was this point where I was recording a video for our music video in autumn, and I made it very rainy because growing up in Iran, autumn is the very super rainy season. And then I showed it to Sydney. It's like, why did you make autumn so rainy? It's not rainy. I was like, well, what do you mean? Autumn is the rain season. So we essentially got to this point that depending on where you grew up, seasons mean very different things in terms of what happens in them, which, you know, should be obvious because in Australia during Christmas it's not even snowing.
Summer.
But it's summer. Yeah. So yeah, it's a crazy one that like where you live is this. So we essentially decided to just base everything in SunnySide, where SunnySide.
Yeah, I had to explain to him that it needs to be Japan and not whatever you grew up with. So
yeah,
that's because which is actually an issue that I ran into the other day. I realized, Rainy, that we need to. I wrote these as notes on our testing. We need to change the weather because it rains like all through the spring.
Yeah.
Which is a California thing.
Yeah. Summer.
And that's something I just did instinctively. But summer is the rainy season in Japan, so we need to make spring a little bit less dreary.
Which is weird to me because in Tehran, summer is just dry. Like nothing happens.
Thanks, guys. I like all the comments on the hair. I appreciate it. It makes me happy. It irritates the crap out of me. Oh no, that looks like Spanish. Spanish? Or is that
What? What are we talking
Portuguese?
about?
I can never tell us if somebody.
Oh,
If you guys talk to
Spanish.
us in different languages, I can communicate with you, but it takes me a minute because I have to run it all through Google Translate. So give me just a minute.
I only know hola means hello. So.
Oh,
to you
you're
too.
adorable. Let's see.
What did they say?
Was that right? Oh, Brazil. So is Portuguese. I was Spanish and Portuguese look so close when they're written down. Says I'm Brazilian. Really looking forward to, I guess, the game. Oh, we love y'all. We love you too.
Yeah,
Thanks,
we
guys.
actually 2 of our devs are from Brazil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's actually, can I say this? That we have an item in the game that is a nod to Brazil.
We have a couple.
Oh, we do actually.
Which item? Are you talking about the food?
I'm talking about the drone skin.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we have a drone skin in the game. That's quite literally Brazil's flag. Yeah. The question that follows with PS5, I assume, is the game coming to PS5? And
can't talk about it.
We can't talk about that.
Can't talk about it.
Right. So today it's going to be a lot more kind of straight to the point situation. We have a lot of announcements to make, so we're going to go through the announcements first, and then we're going to go through QA. We're going to go through QA from the kind of order that you guys asked on Discord. As you know, we've been running this QA channel for a little bit longer than usual, like about a week. So there's some questions that have accumulated over time that we're going to go through. But if any question comes up in the chat and we think it's appropriate to the topic that we're talking about, we might just answer it there. And if it's forgotten, though, if we just miss it somehow, because that does happen, do please put it in the Discord. Yeah, and then that way we won't miss it at all.
Yeah.
One thing I have to say right off the bat, we are pretty bound by what we can talk about regarding some questions and announcements. And this is... it's gonna sound like you know, they're bad guys, but they're not. It's because of our publisher, but that's just how the business operates really on their side of things. It's not that they're just evil people and don't want us to talk to you guys. So we are bound by what we can say. So there are those questions that we just literally can't answer because we'll get into a lot of trouble, or because trouble for the game down the line.
It's actually less about the game. And this was something I'd asked for clarification on, because it seems like, you know, we've always been all about transparency with you guys. We don't want you guys to ever not know things. And it seems like that should just be the standard, right? Why would you ever want to not talk about something? And so it was hard to wrap my head around of just why would you not be honest about stuff? And so it was, the way it was basically explained to us was the things that you say can impact not so much just the sales of the game, but can potentially impact public perception, which can then impact like publicly traded companies. So when you think about, you know, you hear about something weird happening over at Facebook or something, and then you hear like the next day the stock prices dropped. To us normies, that doesn't mean anything, but from a business perspective, that's people losing jobs. That's, you know, people, you know, money starts having to get moved around, and people have to change projections on things, and so it really impacts business. So that's a huge reason in a lot of cases why if a developer can't talk about something they want to talk about, that's probably what it's connected to, is there's a whole business thing happening that we just don't understand, honestly. So it's part of it's about marketing moments, part of it is about just business sense and being smart about it, and the fact that when you're a publicly traded company like our publisher is, the things that you say can impact the public perception. A private company like ours, less of a big deal, but a publicly traded company, there's a lot more to consider. So that's the huge reason. So if we do say, hey, we can't talk about it, that's full stop. That's not, you know, oh, if you ask us nicely, maybe we'll, no. If we say no, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, it just means no. So there might be some situations like that today. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
We will give you guys all the information we're allowed to. And then if we're not, we'll just say, you gotta wait for that one, or there's a reason for it, or it might just be a simple no. So, just
Danny,
to get that out of the way,
exactly.
that's the disclaimer for today.
It's marketing's fun except for when you have to have secrets. And Natalie, well, any
Yeah.
UK-based team members will be visiting the Animex Festival. I didn't know that was a thing, but I'm gonna Google it. Thank you.
Maybe.
Because maybe.
Technically, there's only 2. And then there's a UK adjacent, if you want to count Ken, who's in Ireland.
6th of November, up to the 10th. Okay, thank you. I think I might still have time if I find the money. Hell yeah, thank you. Okay, so yeah, let's get into the meat and
Into
potatoes.
the thick of it.
Yeah, into the thick of it. So
yeah, so we start with the RainyGames stuff first, right?
Yep.
So in the future, these streams will all be about RainyGames stuff, but right now it's all SunnySide, so the RainyGames section is very small. But it's kind of the same as last time. We've been so focused on SunnySide that all of the RainyGames stuff that we wanted to do this year ended up taking a back seat. So Rainy and I had a lot of plans at the beginning of the year for, doing a monthly podcast and really focusing on the Patreon and really focusing on RainyGames as a business and really growing it and making sure that we can support ourselves beyond SunnySide and all that. And with Rainy getting sick, it kind of threw all that out the window. So we had to reevaluate a lot of stuff. So it ended up, this whole year ended up being way more about SunnySide than we had initially intended. We wanted to be done by now. So we're getting close. But yeah, so less about RainyGames. Just that we've been focused on SunnySide stuff. But there are still t-shirts on sale if you want to go buy them. I guess we could drop the link to that if anybody wants a RainyGames shirt.
Yeah.
I would say it would be this shirt, but it's not this shirt. This is a different. You're not wearing yours, are you?
I am wearing this. It's empty.
Fired.
It's pretty accurate for a Sunday, to be honest.
But it's got the Foxy logo, and then underneath it's got RainyGames. It's a cute shirt. But yeah, Zenny, it is a lot to keep track of. Ideally, at some point, I'll get to not have to worry about the game development, and I can just focus on the business. That's the ideal someday. We gotta get SunnySide out first. But yeah, doing both at the same time is really hard. Big shout out to like all the solo devs out there who somehow do all of it. That's always my number one advice, isn't it? To indie devs, Rainy. I always tell them,
business dev.
Get a business person. Get a biz dev. You can't do it all on your own. It's impossible.
Thank you, Danny. I really appreciate it. I also am very lucky that I'm in the UK, which means that I could be taken care of without having to worry about the monetary side of things. Because I was in the hospital for a month. Pretty much the entirety of March this year is a blur to me. I don't remember much of it. But yeah.
Had that happened to me, we would have been screwed.
Bankrupt, yeah.
Pretty much.
Bad.
Oh no, more Portuguese. Give me a second. Hope you don't mind me answering in English. I'm not going to even try to answer in Portuguese.
I mean,
see, you're.
If Alan and Carol are in the chat, go ahead and answer.
Your work is impressive. Aw. You're the only ones who are doing something like Harvest Moon. Basically, they're saying that they think SunnySide's going to revolutionize the farming
we hope.
genre.
That's been the plan.
That's the goal.
Since the start. I really hope. There was a question that somebody asked that what's your biggest fears about the game, and we get to it. I'm not going to answer it right now. But there's a lot that we put into this game, a lot of ourselves that we put into this game. So much. Yeah. I think the biggest thing about SunnySide is it started as, let's just make a cute little farm game, and then as soon as we dropped the narrative in, everything changed. Of what we're trying to say, how we're trying to say it, what messages we want to tell, what messages we want to avoid. So I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it became way more personal than I think anybody was expecting it to be. Hey, Lauren. Yeah, Lauren got me this shirt, which is an Albert cup, if you don't know.
Adorable. If you guys don't know, Rainy has become the biggest D&D nerd you'll ever meet
Yes.
in the last couple of months.
I've been thinking
we're blaming
about
Baldur's Gate.
how have I not had this in my life for so long, honestly. I've been working on the first campaign that I'll be DMing, so it's been exciting. Anyway.
Oh yeah, somebody pointed out the template we're using for like our cameras and stuff. The chat's not showing up.
I know. I put 2 chat box now in SLOBS, and it's just not pulling it. So sadly, I don't know what's
Rude.
going on. Yeah, very.
Luckily, with YouTube playback, it will actually play back the chat.
Mm-hmm. And make sure when you're looking at the chat on the right side, if you want to read the chat, there's a thingy at the top that says top chat. If you click on that, you can select live chat, which is a lot more accurate. I don't know why that's not default.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is weird.
Yeah, I think,
yeah, he's definitely a dice goblin now.
I got my first set for my birthday, and it was great, and I'm getting more, hopefully. Right, so let's get straight into the announcements. The first one is going to be a lot of numbers. So we have been very quiet for a very long time.
No, you skipped something.
Oh yeah. I saw a link. I thought it was the other one.
Rainy got excited.
You lead us in, and I'll play it.
Okay. So let's see. Our last live stream was in August. Between August and now, we've pretty much just been working our butts off. But in that time, we did release a new, I guess, teaser, I think is actually probably more descriptive. It's a teaser about all the, well, not all the, it's like called a Meet the Residents teaser. So we figured we'd play it for you guys, just in case anybody didn't see it. It's cute. We got some more awesome voiceover for it. So yeah, we're going to play that for you guys. Rainy's going to play that for you guys.
I am. All right.
Starting over in a new town can be kind of intimidating. But luckily, you have plenty of friendly neighbors in SunnySide. People say there's nothing to do in small towns. But the locals always know the best spots. So, if there's a lid for every jar, then your new home has plenty of lids to choose from. It's time to get out there and make new friends. Everyone in town is ready to welcome you to SunnySide. See you soon!
Yes, no EA. EA asks for early access. No.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Stay away from EA as a company.
The hard thing about about EA is it means so many different things to different people depending on who you're talking to. Mm-hmm. So you've got EA the company, you've got Steam Early Access, which is its own branded thing, and then you just have generic early access.
Yeah.
And they're all completely different things. So you like just saying EA can cause so many problems. So but I'm just catching up.
Yeah, I'm catching up with the chat as well.
I'm ignoring all of your guys' hatred for other companies. Okay, so the thing that Rainy wanted to talk about, actually, have you guys all seen that little video before? I feel like, was everybody just ignoring it? Like, oh, we've already seen this. This is boring. I feel like everybody had seen it.
Yeah,
I don't know. So anyway, so the thing that Rainy wanted to talk about was we're gonna drop a lot of numbers on you. Do you want to say that first little paragraph? I feel like it's very important to you that you say it.
Oh yes, okay, it is. Okay, so this is as we said in the start, we had to like fact check so much of this with publisher merge, with our publisher merge, to make sure that it's all fine. And there are certain things we can say, and it's exciting. So I am happy to announce, it is with pride to announce, it is with excitement to announce, whatever you want to call it, that the core development on SunnySide is finished. The game is what we would call content complete. Yes. And
that's kind of our big thing for today.
And what that means is that we have a list of things that we can tell you guys as kind of like facts about the game that you're going to get your hands on, because we are past the days where we would say that, oh, this system is still under works, or like, oh, we don't know what we're going to add to this system. It's all done. So yeah.
Or Rainy promising things we hadn't done yet, and then me going, no, we haven't done that yet. Stop promising those things.
There's no haven't done that yet. We are still developing the game, obviously. We're doing a lot of bug fixing. We're doing a lot of polishing. We're doing a lot of extra things that needed to be added to the game so that the game is functional on what's it called, like Steam Cloud, or different features that the game needs to have, like achievements working fine and stuff like that.
There's still a lot of work to do.
All that.
Yes, a lot of work.
Yeah, but the game is content complete, so we're not like adding any more features to the game. We're just working with what we have now. And so, yeah, if you want to take us through, we can half this if you want.
I'll start it.
There's a
and
long
then you can...
list of facts about the game. Yeah.
So we want to let you guys kind of know what
this will be on
content
launch.
complete. Yeah, we want to let you guys know what content complete means. It does not mean that we're done with development. That's all it means. It just means that, like he said, all the stuff that needs to be in there is pretty much in there. And it means that we can actually finally say, here's what's going to be in the game at launch. It's not promises anymore. It's not, we're going to try to do this. It's, here's what you have to look forward to. We can confirm that this is in there, and we're excited about it. So buckle in, because it's a big list. We have over 100 different crops for you to plant. This includes trees, flowers, herbs, tea, fruit, different grains, and a few other things I'm not even mentioning. We have over 100 different cooking recipes. So this is drinks, desserts, there's international dishes, there's also traditional modern Japanese cuisine. Traditional and modern Japanese cuisine, there's a little bit of both. And it's a really fun system that I really enjoy playing with. So you get, there's a little over 100, I think, different recipes for you to go through. We have, this is the big one, over 300 different food craft recipes. Things like cheese. Food craft. So this is like in some other farm games, it would be called like artisan goods. These are things that you need to put in a machine and it kind of does its thing, and then you get a product. So for our game, that's stuff like cheese, tofu, soy sauce. You got wine, beer. We've got, you can roast seeds and nuts. You can press oils. You can pickle things, and a few other things. There's over 300 different recipes for that. A lot of the recipes lead into each other. So you have to do something in one food craft machine and then take it to another food craft machine to finish it off. So that's in there, but there are over 300 individual things for you to make within the food crafting system, which is a lot.
Yes. Now I have to mention that this has been brought up by people in the QA or testers has just been playing the game. That it's been a bit of a concern that like some of these systems are so wide and vast, and if a player is not interested in them, they're going to feel forced into it. And that's not the case. While the systems are very deep and kind of they got a lot of content to them, we never push any of them onto you. We give you the tutorial for it. We give you the stuff that you need to get you started. Yep. But it's up to you if you want to go delve into it, explore more, unlock skills, unlock items for them, and really, really explore it yourself. And it will be rewarding. You will get rewarded not just socially in the game, as well as the items that you get that will reward you monetarily, obviously, but some of these items will give you bonuses and stuff to you, like your stamina or your health, that allows you to do more in a day. So they're not forced onto you. If you really hate cooking in the game, as
you don't have to,
as our QA has done, just go forage a lot and you get
Or
more
live off
food
coffee.
than you need, or live off. You know what was the
Yeah.
funny thing you mentioned yesterday that you can do in the morning and you're pretty much
Oh
fine
yeah,
until midday?
the way that the system works is you can have like a sandwich and a coffee first thing in the morning, and you're like set on stamina until like 2 p.m. ish.
Yeah.
And then you just have lunch and you're good for like the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Which is it's you don't have to eat every 10 seconds to get energy so that you can keep going, the way that the hunger system works. So yeah, I feel a lot more satisfying, and you get a lot more bang for your buck.
Danny, the 300 does
yeah.
not include quality of items. They are unique items. We don't have quality
Yeah,
in the game.
There's no quality in our game. So that's actually, I'm going to go right into that real quick, Rainy. We were talking about this earlier. Everything, we've said this before, every single thing that you know about other farm games, you have to throw out the window. There is nothing that we've done the same way. So if you're walking into it expecting it to be another reskin of Harvest Moon or Story of Seasons or Stardew Valley or any of that, it is not. It works different, the systems are different, the growth rates are different, there's no quality system. The whole way that we framed this game is unique to SunnySide. So you're going to have to really pay attention and play it like you're playing Stardew Valley for the first time. If you think about the first time you played Stardew Valley, back when there were no wikis to follow, and you just had to figure stuff out, that's exactly how SunnySide is going to be. So there's actually a few systems we don't explain to you. We don't even tell you that they're there. You're going to have to discover it. You're going to have to look for the clues, and you're going to have to investigate the game and explore and discover and have fun. And it's not about how much can we, micromanage everything. That's not what our game is. Our game is about discovery and fun and enjoying yourself, and not about all the things that honestly you're really used to. So, and it might be a few systems are missing that you think, oh my god, how is the game going to be fun without this? Trust me, there's plenty to do. It'll be fine. I promise. So some more things. I'm just reading real quick. Yeah, you can pretty much, you don't have to eat nearly as much in this game as you would think. Will it help? Yes. Stamina and energy works completely different than what you guys are used to. Again, you're gonna have to play it to understand it. It's not something you can just think is gonna work. You're gonna have to really relearn a lot of the things that you're used to. Will there be new guides? Not from us, because we designed it in a way to make it discoverable and fun. If it comes to the point where we feel like it didn't work and people need it, then we'll look into it. But until that happens, we're not going to try to project and think about what might be an issue. We want to see what happens first, and then if people call for it, we'll do it. But
however,
we don't want to push anything on anybody.
We do have a community moderated wiki that it's not, officially controlled or handled by us in any way. It's just fully community driven. And funny enough, during our alpha period, they managed to get a lot in there. So I can't imagine it won't be full of things as soon as the game is out. So that would be a source that you guys can look into for sure.
Yep. I did mention wine and beer. You'll be able to make wine and beer. Yep. And we put a lot of work into the systems. Every single thing that you can make, that you can food craft and cook, was heavily researched to make sure that it was fun. So beer follows a little bit more realistic process. Wine follows kind of realistic process. I kind of had to skirt some things on that. Soy sauce is really interesting. So hopefully people get to learn some stuff too in the process. That was kind of my goal anyway. But anyway.
Yes, the rest of the list.
So there are over 300 buildable items. So that's buildings, houses, decorations, paths, fences, different furniture, chairs, tables, things like lighting. Lighting. Yeah, there's over 300 different build blueprints that you can build. And a lot of this stuff does have to be unlocked over time through the skill tree. Just kind of keep in mind. We've talked a lot in the past about how our game is very heavily focused on services and vendors and supporting the economy of the town. And so with that, we have over 100 different vendor services. These are items that you can get from the vendors that you basically, instead of crafting it yourself, you go to them, you pay them money, and they craft it for you. And then they deliver it to you. Well, kind of. So we've got over 100 different items that fall into that category. We have over 150 unlockable skills through the skill tree.
We revamped the whole skill tree.
Yeah, we revamped the entire skill tree.
Very different from what you remember from Alpha. Yeah. Not just the skills, but also how it looks. Yeah. Should I continue?
Yeah, I'm just reading. I'm kind of keeping up with people are like projecting about food and stuff. Yeah.
You catch up with the chat, and I'll go through some rest of it.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So we have achievements. That was something that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, we have 50 plus possible achievement badges for you to earn. So this is Steam, so the achievements that you will get through Steam. We even have a leaderboard for certain stats that you might be able to see how other people are doing in those stats, like how many crops have been planted, how many animals have been adopted. And also we have an in-game kind of badge tracking system. So whenever you unlock an achievement on Steam, you also get a badge in the game that you can put on your backpack and just fill it up as you kind of complete the game. We wanted to essentially have a completion system in the game. We have 24 different ranch animals.
I don't know how your weird accent pronounces that.
And they're younger versions. So these are the farm animals that we have in the game. So these are like pigs, goats, alpacas, sheep, and lots more. Cows, chickens, ducks. Yeah. And then we have 50 plus collectible plushies. If you remember, during a few of our streams in the past, when we showed the game, there were these plushies in the game that you could either collect through the claw machine in the game. You can gift them to people. There are things that are connected to that, or you can also display them on your farm. I posted a photo, I think a few weeks ago, that I was just testing the build mode, and I realized, hey, I can just put one of these display mats on like my lights and just put plushies on them. So yeah, you can. And there are 50 plus of them to collect. And this is the biggest one. Yeah.
Oh, before you go to the big one, I'm going to answer a couple of these quick questions about the things that we just said. So somebody asked, will there be meat? Yeah. And also no. So if you want to play the game with meat, you can. If you want to play the game without meat, you totally can. It's up to you. There's tofu versions of almost everything, or vegetarian versions of almost all the food. So if you want to avoid meat throughout the whole game, for the most part, you can do it. There might be a couple things that are meat dependent, but for the most part, you can.
And you'll have to purchase the meat. You can't.
Yeah. So we didn't do a butcher or anything like that. You're not killing any of your animals. If you want meat, you just go buy it. You can also, well, no, we're not going to go into that. But yeah, it's kind of a gray area that we decided to just not talk about. Can food be crafted with flowers? Yes, actually. Some of the flowers are designated as tea that you can use in craftables. We wanted to do some stuff with like picking flowers and making flower arrangements, but we just didn't have time for development. So flowers aren't as useful as we would have liked. You can just sell them. Or you can make tea out of some of them. And then, does 300 include different styles and variations? Kind of. So, like, we have a tables section, or like tables that you can make, and there's like 40 of them. But I don't think any of them are variations on each other. I think they're all unique.
They're all unique.
Yeah, everything's pretty much unique.
We specifically didn't want to add variations because, and this is a system we haven't had time to do yet. We wanted to allow you to like change the materials on stuff that you build. Yeah. We haven't had time to do it, I'll be honest with you guys. But
we're leaving things open.
But just to future-proof the game, we made sure that there are no variations of the same item that just has different materials on it or just looks different. In case we actually ended up coming back to it at some point and we wanted to implement it, then you can just like, kind of like, you guys remember Sims 3 where you could just change the material on a table to whatever you want? Kind of like that. That would be like the goal.
That's our end goal.
Yeah, that's the
maybe as a DLC or a patch or something. But we're leaving it open in case we couldn't do it.
Like, it's not in the game at the moment. Yeah.
Are we still not going to be able to get all the skills? I I don't think we ended up actually locking them. But the way that the skill tree is put together is that you can really only go down the path of a skill if you want to. So it's not like you can just go through and unlock everything. You really have to work to maneuver through the tree, and it's not something like, oh, it's just arbitrarily unlocked when you hit levels.
But there's a big
yes
point.
and no. We didn't end up blocking it, I don't think. We
okay.
discussed we would.
So certain games add skill points that you get when you hit milestones in your...
Yeah, we didn't do that.
We didn't do that, which means that you don't have to play the game multiple times to unlock everything on the skill tree. In one sitting, you can unlock everything on a skill tree. The way you unlock a skill is you need to have hit a certain level in that specific skill, and it also needs an item to be placed in there. And the items are different based on what the skill is, and it's kind of related to what you need to create. It's kind of like proving you can do something, and then you get the skill.
I realized it ended up being very similar, actually, to like the community center in Stardew, but with story and progression and a lot more reward, rather than just like, oh, here's an arbitrary item. It's more like, here's all this thing that I really worked for. Here's this item to prove that I did it. That's kind of how it works. So you make an offering with that thing. You get more things from it, I guess. Will you support mods? We've been saying we want to support mods. We want to do everything in our power to support mods. Have we looked into it yet? No. So I can't make any promises with that yet. Are we gonna block them? No. So how do I say it? Philosophically, yes. Practically, not yet.
Not yet, yeah.
That's the best way to say it.
If it helps, SunnySide is a game that's being made with Unreal Engine 4, 4.27 to be exact. So if you are a mod dev that has worked on Unreal related games, then yeah, you'll be able to. We don't have any system that will block it like SunnySide.
Bunnies are classified as farm animals, not pets. Claw machines are way more simple than they are in real life. They're actually a lot of fun. Can you make tofu with your own crops? Yes. I did get a new hairdo. Everybody keeps mentioning that.
We support mods in spirit. That's exactly it.
Yeah, we support mods in spirit. Oh, there's so many questions. Okay, I think that's everything.
Okay.
Okay, what's the big one, Rainy?
The big one is that the items in the game, so these are inventory items that can go into your backpack or other inventories that you have. We have 1,500 plus something closer to 1,900 items in the game.
A lot of them are kind of seed packs and
a lot of them are seed packs and seeds and stuff, but just it's a good way to kind of give an idea for the scale of the game, really. And a lot of the things that we just mentioned before, like food crafting or cooking recipes and stuff, as you can imagine, these are items that are required to go into those recipes and stuff, or like build items needs a lot of it. But we have 1,900 plus, I'm actually going to say, inventory items, because I checked yesterday. So
there's a lot. It's a dense game. It's a very, very dense game. And just a shout out to our art team, specifically to Kaori, who had to draw over 1,500 icons. A lot of them were, recolors, and I tried to make it easy on her as possible. But huge shout out to her. I think she's been doing that since like March.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we have the incredible icon team. Kaori leading it, Lauren working on the icons as well, and actually even Alan, our 3D modeler, joined it at some point and helped with some of the other icons. So thank you to all you guys for making it possible.
We added somebody at the end who did help us to do the final push in the last couple of weeks. I'm gonna give her a shout out today. Some of you might already know her because she was actually one of the alpha streamers, and we realized that not only can she draw, but she's really freaking good at it. So shout out to Hidden in the Leaves, who joined our team a couple weeks ago as a junior artist to help us with the final push on the icons. So, and she's also taking notes for me today because she's awesome. So shout out to her for being the best. All right, okay, what else? What other items? We've got so we have 5 different farms that you can farm on. Now I know that some other games have, like, when you start the game, you can choose what farm you want. Our game is totally different. You can do all 5 in one playthrough if you want to. They're unlocked and you can purchase them, and you can expand your empire of farming if you want. So I'm excited about that one. I'm really excited to see how people play on all the maps and stuff.
They're in different locations around the map.
Yep.
They offer different kind of
Benefits?
resources, I guess, benefits.
Yeah.
And some of them are unlockable. You have to unlock them first. You can't just access them from the start of the game.
Yep.
Yep. Next.
Keep going. I'm going to keep reading.
Okay. So we have 8 original seasonal festivals, including Japan's famous Golden Week. So these are, we spoke about this quite a lot because this is something that kind of helps change the monotony of the day-to-day life of the farming game. We have quite a lot of them. At one point, we were worried we had too many. At one point, there was I think that is still the case, that you don't have a Sunday that's nothing happening on.
There's something every Sunday.
Every Sunday. So we have our farmers market that happens every other Sunday, and then on the other Sunday, then there's always a seasonal event that is taking place. There's quite a lot of them. We have like we have an autumn festival. We have obviously the Christmas related stuff. We have the Golden Week, the 3-day festival that happens at the end of spring. And some of them have activities you can partake in. Some of them have mini games that you can partake in. They're just a lot of fun, and a lot of them are essentially just world things, like environmental things, so you just kind of go there and enjoy what's happening around you. And it's a good way to meet people, because everybody goes there too.
And then there's the twice a month farmers market where you're going to sell all your stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's so at any point you can go to a vendor and sell your items, but this is a very good way to just bulk sell a lot of stuff in one go. For all of you...
Checking. Are there any
Sundays that are off?
No, there's every single Sunday. Dang.
For all of you character creator fans, I have some numbers. So you guys might have played and tried the character creator demo that we had last Christmas. And we always talked about how it's going to get expanded quite heavily. Yeah. So we have...
Well, it got expanded.
It got expanded. We have plus 70 hairstyles. We have 120 plus clothing items. 50 plus accessories, which includes the glasses, piercing, and jewelry and stuff. And we heard you about how bad the icons look on them. So we completely reworked the way the icons look. And they're just so much clearer. They're just so much nicer looking and so much more polished up. And
the whole character creator, again, I like to shout out our people. And the character creator is one of the few areas in the game that literally everybody touched. So our modelers were working on it. The rigger was working on it. Our 2D artists ended up getting in there making all the icons. Rainy was in there programming it. I was in there checking things, testing things, directing, doing the things that I do. And it's so clean and so polished. There's still clothing clipping because it's a video game and you're never going to get away from that. So there are a few little areas that clip a teeny tiny bit, but I think it's way more polished than a lot of character creators out there. And we really leaned very heavily into the anime style. So the hair is really interesting. The piercings are really cool. You get 3 different piercing slots now. So you can have multiple face piercings if you want. There's 2 like hand accessory slots. So you can do, 2 things on one hand or 1 on each if you want to. There's glasses. So there's so much customization. You get full coloring on your hair. Is a lot of fun. You can color pretty much everything that you want. You're not locked into anything. So I'm really proud of it. I think the only thing that we weren't able to do is you can't make super masculine looking characters. It is Japan, and men are built a little different in Japan than they are like in the West. You're not going to get any like Viking looking men. So we did our best to get as close as we could.
Style as well, let's say.
So we definitely stuck more with the anime style. So if you're going in looking to make Thor, you're going to have problems. If you want to go in making your favorite sexy male anime character, you're set. So just kind of have to, I don't know, gauge expectations, I guess, a little bit. But it looks awesome. I'm really proud of it.
I want to quickly answer a question. So Arts by FF, as will Cloud says, be on Steam. That's the plan. That's actually one of the things that I'm working on now, is to make sure that the Steam Cloud save system works. And I think everything is set for it to work. I haven't probably looked into it to confirm it, but that's what we're working on. And about the character creator, you guys already asked it, but I was going to share it anyway. Yes, we're going to allow you to still share the character files with everybody else. So we allow you to export your character, and it will be just a file that you can give to anyone. And they can then import that character file into the game. And also you can import any character that you have created in the past in our demo.
Yeah. I'm going to answer a couple of these crop questions real quick. Will you be able to grow things like rice? Yes. And it actually, that doesn't matter what farm you're on. You can grow rice wherever you want. We broke a few rules with that, but it's Japan. We can't have it, so you can't make rice. Can you open your own shop in the farmer's market? Yes. Can you decorate it? No. That's not something we were able to get to. Maybe later if we want to do a DLC or something. Right now, it's just a shop where you go drop in your items and you sell them. Similar to, I think Stardew has an event like that. So yes and no. The reading. I think that's
Natalie asked, can you make
everything.
bigger bodies in the game? We pushed it as much as we could.
Wait, what was the question?
Can you create a fat character? Understand that maybe clicking issues.
We tried. Here's the real answer. We tried. We tried to make a weight slider, essentially. We also tried to make I think a shoulder slider. And we just couldn't do it. We're not skilled enough. We didn't have the time. So we tried, but the weight slider was causing us so many problems because it was stacking on top of all the other sliders, and making it just impossible. So
also it just makes the character bigger, and collision issues kind of,
and then collision issues.
With
it was causing same thing with height. It's why we don't have a height slider. It was just way too hard, and at the end of the day, we are still a very tiny indie team who's figuring it out. So it's not that we didn't want to, it's that we literally couldn't. So sorry. Okay, what else? Characters.
Yes.
So I'm gonna do this one if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So okay. So we have over 30 different characters for you to meet and make friends with. That means people you can hang out with. We have 27 characters that have 10, some a little bit more, but at least 10 like friendship dialogue scenes where you talk during your hangout. And then we have 24 characters that have an official an additional 5 romantic scenes beyond the friendship stuff. So 30 plus characters total for you to be friends with. 27 of them have their own stories. 24 of them can be romanced, essentially. So those are the official numbers.
Yeah, which gets us to round about 400 and more custom scenes in the game.
Oh my god, so many.
Yeah, that is on top of any of the dynamic hangouts that you can go out on, which you can do anytime and anywhere. And they are season dependent, they are NPC dependent, and But I always said this, and this is the most fun thing, and this is the thing that I'm most proud of with the system, is that no two people's experience is going to be exactly the same, because these scenes that we have written, they can happen at any time, anywhere. So you can have a very heartfelt scene with like Parsa or Anahita, and that scene can happen when you have coffee at Naka. They can do the same thing when you're going to Higashi for a hangout, or it can happen when you're going to the onsen for a hangout. It can happen anywhere. It depends on what you choose, but it's still going to kind of go through, and the story's still going to take place. It's not like we directed a cutscene to exactly happen in a specific location. We kept it dynamic enough, so that's going to be very fun. Even the credits of the game is built in a way that depending on when you finish the game, the background for the credits is going to be totally different based on season, time of day, weather. Yeah.
I feel bad if people get it like on a rainy night.
Hopefully it'll be a
Alien
tearjerker.
Yeah. Let's see. We have 7 different biome maps that you can explore.
In the
I'm not going to go into that too much, but there are 7 different maps. We've got 2 overworld maps and what I will call 5 underworld maps.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best way I can put it. Is that a good way to phrase that?
Yeah.
We have this was the big number. This is the one that shocked all of us because I don't think we were tracking it until we went back and had to count it all. We have over 70 original music tracks, which is a lot. It's a lot.
Big shout out to Matt for that. We have
huge
tracks
shout out to Matt and his team too.
Yeah. We have tracks that nobody's heard yet because we have worked on them very recently, and we also have tracks that we worked on a year and a half ago that we have not shared anywhere yet, which is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you will be able to keep playing your game when the main story's over.
That's quite literally what happens
after
the credits. Is that you
that's
just
literally the whole
back
point
to the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Because
people
people always
without
get worried
sleeping?
when you say credits. Sorry.
Can you save any time without sleeping?
Sadly, no. This one is on me.
We tried.
Essentially, we had to establish that system really early on. It was kind of unfair, I would even say. It was so early because we still haven't had figured out a lot of systems, but we had to make that kind of standardization of, is it going to be everyday saving or anytime saving? And we chose to go with everyday saving because I thought at the time that would kind of save us a lot more time. Yeah. It did end up saving us a lot more time and headaches, but it's annoying. I get it. At least it's classic farming game formula for the saving system. Yeah.
How many game slots can you have? The only thing we can talk about in relation to that is PC.
Yes, so on PC it's unlimited. I don't think it's going to end up being unlimited because Steam Cloud has a limit. So we are going to limit it. I'm not sure what the number is going to be. Yeah. But you can have multiple characters and you can have multiple saves per character. Yeah. And we always do 3 autosaves for the last 3 days of your game in case something goes wrong. Yeah. In addition to the manuals that you can do yourself.
So at the very least, it's 3 save slots per character, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And not sleep for a day or 2 like in Harvest Moon. A Wonderful Life. No, the day has to end because that's how we calculate a lot of the progression in the game. Is that when the day starts,
everything.
Yeah, when the day starts, everything that is in the world kind of checks if a day has passed, and if a day has passed, then they will do their calculation. So that needs to happen. So if you don't sleep by a certain time, you will pass out. Kind of, again, classic formula for that one. I would have loved to allow it to that. It just kind of dynamic.
We wanted to, we definitely wanted to, and we definitely tried. But again, we're in some cases limited by our own skill set, and that was definitely one of them. Can you go to sleep at any time? Actually, yeah. Past the first day, you can sleep at any time. Yeah. Is there going to be an emergency save button? No.
Oh, like if you're somewhere really far from your bed and you want to save the game?
Oh.
That's a good one to think about.
That's something we've discussed, but we can't give any answers on that yet.
Yeah.
Rainy and I will talk about it later.
Yet. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
okay, what's the last one? Do you want to say it? Do you want me to say it?
I'll say it because you have been directing it. Does that make sense?
Okay. But I'll do the parentheses part.
Okay. So, SunnySide in terms of word count, and word count is important and related to another announcement we have today. SunnySide in terms of word count currently has more than 180,000 words written of dialogue. Yeah, so for context, we have some other games that we can mention that gives you guys a bit of context as to how big it is.
So this is dialogue. This isn't full game word count. We're still counting that, honestly. But for dialogue, which is finished, we're at 180,000 plus words. For context, the Silmarillion from Lord of the Rings is 130,000 words. Chrono Trigger, classic video game, is 60,000 words. That's an RPG. Mass Effect 2 is at about 450,000 words. So to give you an idea of where we fall in that, More than the Cimmerillion and Chrono Trigger, about half of what Mass Effect 2 is at. For a small indie game like ours, that's a lot. This is a
We're pretty proud of it. Yeah.
Huge dialogue-based game. Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, there's more in the game that we haven't even talked about. There's fishing, there's foraging, there's the different shops that you can go to, there's gifting, there's gifting systems, there's a mini quest system, there's drone racing. So we haven't even talked about all of it. But there's a lot. And in relation to carpal tunnel, you can rebind your keys if you need to. So that shouldn't be an issue either.
Asked by FF, interesting question, and it's a question that's come up a lot. If the game sells really well, would you consider a marriage, maybe children paid DLC? If we want to do that, I don't think we can
want to talk about that.
Well, I'm just going to say that I don't think that it would be possible to do that with SunnySide through a DLC.
Through DLC, no, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, and it's not like a technical limitation. It's a story limitation. I feel like we would be doing our story a disservice if we try to cram that as a DLC into the game. If there is going to be marriage and children, it is going to be a different game. And obviously we're still finishing SunnySide, so we don't even have anything to talk about with that. But that's the main reason. And I think, Cindy, do you want to talk more about this, or? Actually,
I'll address it now.
Yeah.
So this is something we're gonna talk about later, but we'll just bring it up now. Rainy and I were talking earlier today about what is SunnySide, what's the purpose of the game, what's the message we're trying to send, and something that a point I really wanted to get across to everybody is that as game developers, we have a responsibility because we are creating fiction, and any form of fiction, any form of media that you interact with, whether it's a video game or a movie or a television show or a book that you're reading, is going to impact your life in some way. And as game developers, we fall into that. This game, when you play it, is going to impact everybody in a different way, whether it's through the music or the story or the gameplay or something. It's going to impact you. And so we have a responsibility to be very aware of how our game can impact the lives of other people. And with that, we had to decide, how do we want to impact people? What do we want the effects to be? And how do we make sure that you get the right things? And Rainy and I decided that the purpose of our game, specifically of SunnySide, is friendship and interpersonal relationships. The purpose of our game is not marriage or romance or children or families. It's just not the story that we're telling. The story that we're telling is more similar to Persona, where you're building these relationships with people, and some of those could go further into a romantic relationship, but the basis of everything will always be friendship. And so if the whole point for you for games like this is to get laid, that's not how we're doing it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, that's just not our style. So we want these stories to be meaningful and impactful, and something that Rainy said that his girlfriend had said after playing Persona was, I miss hanging out with my friends. I'm gonna start crying. Damn it! But that's what we want. We want you to miss hanging out with your friends. We don't want it to be, how can I get into this guy's pants as fast as possible? That's not the point. So it's not about, the reason that we didn't want to do marriage is because marriage isn't for everybody. And we don't want that to be the defining factor in how you complete a relationship, because that's not what it's about. It's about the moments that you make with the person. So the hope is that when you get to the end of the game, is it going to be different than what you expect from other farming games? Yes. Will everybody like it? We don't know yet, but it's a huge risk that we're taking, and hopefully it pays off. But so when we get answers like, are there going to be children, are there going to be marriage, are there going to be all these things that we have in other farm games, our answer is going to keep being, we're not other farm games. So please don't put those expectations on us, because that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do something different. So,
and to keep this going,
yeah.
I don't know if you read the second message from Arts by FF. We obviously, we know, we've seen the discussions that happen on Steam forums, and I just wanted to say, I myself, Sydney, and the team, we're really thankful to all the people who explain the reasons over there on Steam. We've noticed that as some people just that aren't part of the team or devs or merge, that just take it upon themselves to explain what the decision comes from and where it comes from and why we don't have children and marriage. We don't think it's going to cause the game to fail either. We're with you on that. And we have a good reason for it. And I'm just going to segue this into another question that Carrie asked, that do you think is too much? No, actually. It's made... Why we have so many words? It's because of how many NPCs we had. You don't have to delve into everybody's story. You can if you want to, and it might overwhelm you.
Honestly.
Yeah, you should. It might overwhelm you, but if it does, you don't have to. Don't worry about it. Just take it as slow of a pace as you want to. If an NPC keeps sending you invites to hang out with them, just say no. There's no repercussion to it. You're not gonna get minus friendship points for it. But that's why there are so many words into the game, and so many different characters that had to be written very differently. So I commend Sydney and the rest of the narrative team, which is currently just Sydney.
Well, somebody asked if I wrote all that 180,000. The answer is technically no. We did have Jade, who was helping write all that stuff. We also had some other people who helped with the concepting beforehand. But I did touch every single word in the game. So if I didn't write it, I edited it. I can say that all of the romances, though, so those 5 extra romance scenes that you get, I wrote all of those, with the exception of, I think, one scene. And I think another piece of another scene that I had Jade write. But yeah, if it's the romance, I wrote it. So I hope you guys like it, because it was a lot of work to... I wanted it to feel like you're really interacting with these people, so I kind of had to do a lot of acting, I guess, and get into the mind place of the NPC that you're interacting with and making sure it feels genuine and from their perspective. And a lot of the stories are a bit heavy. A lot of them pull from either my personal experiences or my partner's personal experiences, or Rainy's or his partners or friends of ours, or people that we had heard stories about. I even, for some of the how do I want to phrase this? For some of the characters who were kind of designated as homosexual, that's the way to phrase that. I reached out to gay men and gay women to make sure that I was doing them justice, to make sure that I wasn't putting words in anybody's mouths or wasn't misrepresenting anything, because I'm a cis straight hetero woman, so it doesn't really help anybody. So I tried to make sure that we were doing everybody justice, I guess. So
reflecting those experiences that they have gone through accurately, I think,
without pandering or making it feel gross or making it feel like that's all it was about. So I got a couple field test readers to check it and make sure it was okay, and I got a lot of good feedback, so hopefully you guys like it. If you guys don't, we're going to hear about it. So
that's the difficulty behind characters that are just very ethnically diverse as well as sexuality diverse, and just makes it very... And age as well. That's another area of the game that I really didn't personally would have delved into. Was it not for you and the experience you brought into that? I mean, Yuma is a much older man that you typically have in what do you call them, visual novels, right? Or like we even have a romance option that I don't think we even have announced, that is I'm going
to talk about that real quick. So our official number is 24 characters that you can romance. The actual number is higher because there are a couple hidden romance options. And what I mean by hidden is they will not come after you. You're going to have to chase them down. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Yes. But so, again, there are parts of this game that you're really going to have to explore and dive into. It's not going to be a surface level passive absent-minded click-through game. You're really going to have to work for it. And it's not Yuma. It's
quickly,
not Yuma.
before we get too far away from the discussion about the diversity of the characters.
Yeah.
No, that's all right. So there's a character in the game, you guys might have seen it, Parsa, and we have publicly announced that he is gay. When I made that character, there was a very specific reason for it. So he's half Iranian, half Persian, and Iran is where I come from, and it's a country with a lot of restrictions on who you want to be, and you can't be who you want to be in that country, sadly. There were stories of people who were close to me, who were in the LGBT community, which are just too sad to go through, but I'm just going to say I wanted to represent that kind of experience somehow. I wanted to tell the world that these stories exist, and LGBT people in a country like Iran do exist, and they need to, they need to be known about, that they struggled and they need our help and support. So when I essentially conceived the idea for Parsa, and I handed it to Sydney and the narrative team, and they did a really good job of representing it accurately, and that makes me really happy. And that long tangent to just say that it all comes from a kind place, that we wanted to tell these stories, and we did our best to make sure that they're represented as accurately and correctly as possible.
And the last thing that I'll say about that is there are some groups that we didn't include, specifically because we didn't know how. There's only so much research you can do. Yeah, there's only so much research you can do. There's only so many people I can reach out to. And 32 different characters is a lot as a writer to put yourself in that mind space and consider their life. And really, there was a point where I was just stretched way too thin. It's really hard going from there was a few days where I wrote 6 characters in a day, and I was, oh my god, I cried thinking about it. I was so emotionally exhausted from just having to get into all these characters. So there are groups that we didn't get to. There are no trans characters. That is way outside my depth. I'm not that good of a writer. And you guys know, if we're gonna do it right. So stop it. You guys are, I'm crying, you're crying. Why is this happening? I've been an emotional wreck for 3 days. So there's no trans characters because I'm not there yet. There might be a time at some point in the future where I have the ability to step into that headspace, or God willing, we can get a trans writer. But that just wasn't something that I wanted to touch. That said, there are some groups that I wanted to make sure we kind of reached out to through the narrative, because I'm in it, or my partner is, or Rainy is. So there is, or other people on our team, or friends of ours in our circle. So there's definitely some neurodivergence that's touched on. We have a couple ADHD characters. We have some mildly autistic characters. We have some characters who suffer from depression. We have characters who suffer from, suffer is not a really good word, but the topics that we're talking about, I should say. One of them is toxic masculinity. One of them, a few of them are trauma. A few of them are parent-based trauma. So there's a lot of different things that we touched on, and I never named it because it felt weird doing that to me. There were people who wanted us to, and I just didn't, because it wasn't about that. But I wanted it to feel like if you are in that category, if you are somebody with ADHD, if you are autistic, if you are suffering from depression, I wanted you to be able to recognize yourself in these people with how the story is told. So there are a couple of characters that it's very obvious, and you'll get to a point and be like, oh, I see what they did. And there are a couple of characters where it's not, and you're going to have to go digging for it. So
I really wish I could have given everybody an example of Lucy. Can I delve into that quickly?
Sure.
So Lucy,
I'm okay with that.
I just want people to see the extent of representing the character's mental state in the game. So Lucy is a character that I believe she's one of our autistic characters, correct? And she also suffers from depression.
She's mildly autistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less the depression. That went to somebody else.
Right. So, unlike almost everybody else in the story, she's one of the characters that some of her stories take place through text messages. She can explain herself and her emotions a lot easier and more comfortably through text. So you can go out on a hangout with her. She really doesn't say much, but then after the hangout, 30 minutes later, you get this like long text thread from her that she's just, it's like a different person because she can explain herself a lot more. So the extent of these kind of character personalities and traits going into gameplay is quite long and high, where it changes even how a character's story operates and reveals to you because of their personality and traits. So,
you're also going to notice
Gabe's
it.
daughter,
I tried really hard with the art direction to make sure you also see it in their portraits.
Yeah.
So Lucy's portraits are very different from everybody else's in terms of where she's making eye contact. Hero is the same way. So there's a lot of narrative in this game that you might not expect. And again, you got to look for it. It's there. Whether or not people are going to see it, I don't know, but hopefully it, it stands out. So I would say the whole narrative was very lovingly crafted over a very long period of time.
Okay.
So let's move on because I'm tired of crying.
Let's move on to probably the biggest announcement of the day, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. So I'm just gonna do a little pre-announcement.
Hype things
up. For anybody who was a Kickstarter backer or a backer kit pre-order who pre-ordered with early access, listen up. This is the part of the stream you don't want to miss. And if you know somebody who should be in the stream and they're not, go and get them because this is the part they need to be here for. This is like the huge announcement. This is the one that everybody's been bugging us about. So, take it away.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Right. It is time for testing. It is time for all of you to get access to the game again. So everybody who got access to the alpha last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? God, I lost track of time. You all are getting access again. So everybody, everybody who had ordered early access through Kickstarter or backer kit, you are given a chance to try the game again. And this time in a much more complete package. So for Kickstarter backers and early access backer kit pre-orders, we will start testing this coming week, Friday, October 27th, through to, what was it?
Testing is going to run from October 27th, which is this coming Friday, to Monday, November 13th for Kickstarter backers and backer kit early access pre-orders. October 27th to November 13th. If you, I'm trying to think how to phrase this. We're going to send the emails out this week. So we already have all your emails, so you don't need to do anything. They're going to go out sometime between now and Friday. I don't know when exactly. When we have more information, I'm going to post it on Kickstarter.
But so we are not handling
keep your eye on Kickstarter for sure.
Email.
No, we're not handling it.
It will be coming from Merge. So make sure to keep an eye on your email from Merge Games, Merge, whatever the name might be in the subject. It's not going to be RainyGames. Yeah, keep an eye on your emails this coming week, and you will get access to the testing starting from Friday.
Yeah. And to Ash, I apologize. I'm not fully aware. I don't track this stuff as much as I really should. So I apologize if I used the wrong phrasing. With Lucy's story, that's kind of why I tried not to go too far into it, because I didn't want to upset anybody. So what I should say is her story is very mildly impacted by the fact that she's autistic. That's how I should have phrased it, so I'm sorry. But thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it.
It will be only on Steam. Yes, it'll
this is only on Steam. Yeah. So if you pre-ordered with early access, it was stated in your pre-order that all early access was going to be on PC. So I just want to point that out.
Yeah. Sorry. But I just wanted to say, because Rachel mentioned an important note, and we had said this before about the first alpha. Doesn't matter what you ordered for. If you had,
everybody gets PC access.
If you had early access as part of your order, you will get PC early access.
Yeah.
So even if you had ordered for Switch, you will, but you had early access as part of your order, you will get PC code for Steam.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, that was in the pre-order like terminology. So we always knew we would never be able to do an early access on platform because it's just not something we're capable of. If you pre-ordered but you did not pre-order with early access through BackerKit, you're not getting early access. It's something you had to buy into in order to be part of it. So that way the people who did buy into it, they're getting, the benefit of their money spent. So emails are going out. If you don't get an email by the 27th, email us, and I'll drop all the contact information for that through Kickstarter, so people who have access. You'll get more information about that later today. I'm going to post a big Kickstarter update. So you'll get all this information written down. You don't have to write anything down right now. I'm going to send out emails and notification stuff to you guys. But we want to announce on stream.
A very important note about this playtest session. This is a beta testing really period, or MVP as we call it. This testing period is going to be under NDA, which means non-disclosure agreement, non-disclosure agreement, which means you can't share anything about this testing period, whether photos or videos or anything, anywhere on a social platform with somebody else who's not part of the NDA. You're not legally allowed pretty much to do that. However, there will be we know that you still want to kind of talk with other people who have access to the early access and share videos or even stream and stuff. So there will be a section that we will add to the server that you will have access to, and you can do all of that stuff there. It's allowed in that part of the server. We will make sure to make it very clear which channels you're allowed to post stuff on, or even stream in if you want to.
But to be clear, nobody's going to be streaming this on YouTube. Influencers aren't getting access to this. This is exclusively for people who purchased it. So the reason for that is because the NDA is because it's part of our publishing agreement. There's really nothing we can do about it. And this goes on to what we were talking about earlier about business decisions and all that stuff. So this testing period specifically from October 27th to November 13th is for our backers. Merge is running their own playtests with MVP. That's their playtest system, which will take place during this period as well, during part of this period. If you didn't buy any of that stuff and you want a chance to be part of the Merge MVP, you can. We can't guarantee you'll get a spot. They have their own way of doing it. The best we can do is kind of point you in that direction, and maybe you'll get chosen, maybe you won't, because it's kind of their own internal thing that they run. So I can drop a link for you guys. If you want to join MVP and get a chance, that's the link that you go to. And you can fill out that form. There's 2 little things on there that you'll need to check to make sure you get like the SunnySide stuff. It's near the top. It says I'm all about a chilled experience. And then there's one near the bottom that it starts out with like whether it's a farm, something, and I'm all about like Sims. So it's choose those 2, and that'll kind of get you locked into the SunnySide stuff. So hopefully that was clear. Make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna do a Kickstarter update. Playtest is under NDA.
Right.
The other big thing is at the end of this playtest period, a survey is going to go out to everybody through email, which is how you're also going to get your keys, to make sure you pay attention to your email. Please fill out the survey. Like, please, giant lettering, exclamation points, please fill out the survey. This is how we get information about how you guys liked the game. So if you don't tell us, we don't know, and we don't know what to do.
As much of a fun, I guess, access to the game period for you guys, this is also where we can, where we can gauge how the game stands in general in your guys' eyes. And you all are SunnySide fans, farming game fans. You are like the target audience for the game, so your feedback is going to be super valuable into just like, how is the game fun, is the game any good? So please do that, and it's going to be massively helping us when we fully release.
The discussion on Discord is more for you guys to talk to each other. The survey that we send to you guys is for you to talk to us. So you guys can talk all you want in the Discord about how much you like or dislike something, but if you don't tell us, we're not going to know about it. So you have to fill out the survey to let us know that, hey, there's a system that I hated, or hey, I want more of this or less of this. Please fill out the survey. It's a huge part of this process. The other thing is, please don't miss this one. I still get emails. I got one a week ago of people who missed the alpha and just now went to go redeem their alpha keys. This playtest period will end, and there's nothing I can do about that. So if you miss it, if you miss the email, if you miss our communication, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to make sure you get access. So the best thing is, please keep an eye on your email. Please look at the Kickstarter updates, the YouTube, our Discord, Twitter. Please look at all of the ways that we communicate with you guys, because if you miss the communication, it's out of my hands at that point. And I don't want anybody missing out on the stuff that they purchased, because that would suck. So I don't also know when we're going to be able to do another external playtest. This could be the only one. We don't know yet. So don't miss this one. If you want to play your early access that you bought through Kickstarter BackerKit, this is it. It's happening now. If you miss it, you miss it. And unfortunately, that's that. So
once the codes go out and you are in the server, if you don't have the Kickstarter role, which gives you access to the channels, or BackerKit early access, so that's a very specific distinction. Kickstarter, everybody. Yep. For BackerKit, only the people with early access BackerKit, which is a separate role in the server. If you have received codes but you don't have that role and you have backed the game, please do let the mods know, and then you'll be given your role so you can access the channels where you can share stuff with other people on. But yeah, we got 2 more announcements to make. 2 more announcements.
But that's the big one.
That was the
biggest
the big one. We have 2 more. The last one is the one that I'm really excited for, because I can finally say. But we have one to make, which is a quick one.
This one's important. I'll make this one because I know you don't care as much about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
today
is October.
But I'm gonna mess it up. So you take it.
It's true. It's fair. So today is October 22nd. We have another live stream that I'm gonna schedule probably today or tomorrow for December 13th. It's over a month away. That's going to be our next live stream. A lot of the stuff, not all, but a lot of the stuff that we can't talk about today, we might be able to talk about on that stream. And there are already things that we have planned that we're going to announce on that stream. So, do not miss the December 13th live stream. The big thing about that one is it's on a Wednesday, which, as you guys know, is very different from how we do our streams. Our streams are usually on Sundays. This one's on a Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday for a very important reason. So it's a little different. It's going to be at a different time because we're going to try to cover as many time zones as we possibly can. And we have people's work schedules to think about. It's going to be recorded. So if you do have to miss it, you'll be able to watch it back. But we're giving everybody plenty of time. If you want to watch it live, you can plan to watch it live. So mark it on your calendars. Do whatever you have to do. December 13th, I'll have a time when we actually make the live stream thing on here. And I'll post it on Discord. And we'll announce it on Twitter. And probably Kickstarter too. So there's going to be another one. And if there's anything that we say, because we still have our whole Q&A to go through. It's been an hour and a half. We still have our whole Q&A.
Yeah.
So if there's anything that we say today, hey, we can't talk about that, we might be able to talk about it on December 13th live stream. Good possibility. No promises, but yeah.
And that's as much as we can say.
That's as much as I can say.
Yeah.
So you want to be at the December 13th stream. What I can say is there is something that we're going to show on that stream.
Oh, yes.
That we have been holding back for well over a year now.
Yeah.
And we have been dying to share it with you guys. And we're finally going to get to do it. So do not miss it. It's going to be awesome.
It wasn't fair to do that without a big announcement. So don't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah. So the next thing you can do the next thing because you're very excited about it.
yeah, this is the last announcements for the stream, and then we are going to move on to QA after this one.
Yep.
Not QA.
Q and A.
So yeah, I'm gonna answer a question that a lot of people have been asking. Finally, the game SunnySide is going to be localized. It is localized, actually.
It is localized.
Let me just rephrase. The game is localized. We have 5 different languages at launch. I'm sorry in advance if the language that you would want it to be on the list isn't. We had to make the list of 5, sadly, because it's very costly and time consuming.
Good localization is very expensive.
Very.
And as you guys we've already talked about, our story is very complicated, not just in words, but in cultural aspects and things like that. So it's not something where we could just get it translated. It had to be localized.
Yes.
Localization is expensive. And honestly, we're lucky that we got 5. With how many words we have, with how big it is, getting 5 was a huge deal. So, on one hand, we apologize if your language isn't in here, but on the other hand, huge thank you to our publisher for getting this many languages localized on launch. We literally would not have been able to do this without them. There's just no way. So
the languages,
Rainy, go ahead.
Yes.
What are the languages?
So we have Japanese, obviously, of course. After that, we have simplified Chinese. Then we have Spanish, French, and lastly, German. So again, SunnySide at launch is going to have 5 different languages that you can play on, localized, not translated. Japanese, simplified Chinese, Spanish, French, and German. You would be able to play SunnySide in any of those languages. You can change the language at any time in the game, and it'll switch it out and stuff. And yeah, it's been great. And again, thank you to Merge for that.
Yeah.
With how many words they've had.
Shout out to our localization team.
Oh, they're great.
They've been
I love them.
a blast to work with.
Yeah.
I recently, I didn't tell you about this, Rainy, but I recently went in and looked at some of their documentation. And the biggest problem that we've had is a lot of the languages we're localizing to have gendered language. Mm-hmm. And so much of how we refer to the main character is agender. Mm-hmm. And it caused so many problems. So there was a lot of dialogue on their end about just how to navigate that, how to figure out how to not use pronouns for a main character, because I didn't anywhere in the English version. And they did I haven't read it yet because I don't speak any of those languages, but I'm assuming they did a great job. They seem to have a really clear understanding of what we were trying to do, and in places where they couldn't do it, they did their best. There were also some other things that popped up that I didn't realize had different connotations in other languages, and so we had to talk about how we were going to fix those. Mm-hmm. So I think they did a great job. Again, we won't know until it comes out and people play it. If we get bad feedback, whatever feedback we get, we'll work with them to update as much as we can. But they've been great. So big shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's the end of the announcements, and we're going to be moving on to Q&A.
Hopefully you guys are satisfied with those announcements. We're excited. And then so for the Q&A, which we're officially going to kick off now. I guess a lot of this has been Q&A, but we have been taking all the questions that you guys have been posting and emailing us and commenting and whatever, and we put them in a doc. We're tracking everything. I'll read them out, Rainy, and then we can just talk about answering them, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Yeah, okay. So the first question came from Amish Cowboy, and it was actually, before I do this, thank you to everybody for asking really cool questions. Because I was really worried that there were going to be, like, as Rainy said earlier, some pitchforks in the questions. And you guys were actually so kind. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that.
So this is from Amish Cowboy. They asked, I don't know, Cowboy, I just assumed. They asked, as the developers, what aspect or aspects of SunnySide are you most excited for people to experience?
I go first, okay. It's going to be... I think, it's going to be a boring answer because that's the answer I always give. It's a social system. It's the story. It's a narrative. That is one part of the game that both like technology and writing and art had to come together. And by art, I mean music, 3D art, 2D art, the world. It all had to come together to make it. And our social system is both very kind of different and new. I don't want to use the word revolutionary because it sounds like it's a bit too egotistic, but it kind of is. And that's the coding is very new and fresh, but also the writing is really well done, and then the art is fantastic, and the world looks amazing, and the music that follows it is great. So that's the part of the game that I'm most excited for people to experience and go through. And it's always great when you see people get attached to the characters that you have and just, I don't know, form these relationships with them and feel sad when they're not playing the game because they miss the characters. That's always the most fun thing. And you know, for a game like SunnySide, and most games that are successful, the characters are the lifeblood of the game. Think about Mass Effect. The one thing that you remember is the characters. Baldur's Gate 3, the characters were incredible enough that it pushed everybody to try a CRPG genre that was very niche before Baldur's Gate. So yeah, characters and social system is my number one.
Sorry, I'm trying to... Rachel, message me about that on Discord, because I have an answer for you, but I don't want to get too far into it. What am I most excited about? I think I think I'm just gonna say same. Honestly, we put so much effort into the characters that I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to the fan fiction, which is kind of me counting my chickens, because that's just saying that the story will be popular, people even want to do it. But what I mean by that is I'm really excited to see what other people think about the characters that we created, and what I love about art is when art inspires other people to be artistic. So that's, you know, the fan art, the fan fiction, the headcanons, you know. One of the games that I played a lot was My Time at Portia. And a lot of just seeing people like, oh, here's the story that I created in my head of like what is happening with... I love that stuff because it tells me that my art inspired you to be creative too, and I love that. So, that's not a very good answer, but it's the best one that I've got. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of everything. Let's see. Next question.
Wait, let's do them like. Let's do them. You ask one, and then I ask one, and then.
Oh, that works. Yeah, go for it.
So. Sadly, I have the answer to this one because I just opened the achievements. But anyway, how many different fish are there to catch? And are there any mechanics to create products like jams or juices? There are two different questions. But
you can answer the first one. I'll answer the second one.
Okay, I'm checking this quickly on our achievement list because there's an achievement for it. 46 different types of fish.
Oh, God. I was going to say 20. That's way more than I thought there were.
Yes. 46
wow.
fish.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty good.
And 59 critters. That wasn't the question, but 59 critters that are not fish. Yeah. So bugs and bugs.
That's what, birds and bugs, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then are there mechanics to create products like jams or juices? Yes, those are actually two different mechanics. Making jam uses two different mechanics. That's the cooking system and the food craft system. And then juices is just the cooking system. So you can make both. Juices was an oversight for me. It's something I completely forgot existed, and I added it the last minute. So hopefully it worked out. I'm going to answer this quick question here. Once you've customized your character, is that set in stone? You will have access to a hairdresser, a clothing shop, and an accessory person to change your hair, your accessories, and your clothing at any point. Everything else not in that is set in stone. Is there going to be alpha testing?
No.
Well, we already had alpha testing. So there was a little over a year ago. We had alpha testing.
And there will be beta next week.
Are we calling it a beta?
I guess we call it a beta. I don't know. Is that going to raise expectations?
I feel like, yeah, it's a play test.
Let's call it playtest. Let's just
Yeah.
get rid of the Greek numerics from the
Yeah.
alphanumerics. Just
You know what? We're doing our own thing, okay? We're not using any of this
it's an
lingo.
epsilon. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll
it's people who requested to be a part of a period of playtime before the official launch will get some of that playtime this coming week.
Mhm.
That's how we're gonna phrase that.
Right. JR
okay.
asks, from what we've seen so far, the game looks absolutely lovely, and it seems like a lot of love has been put into it. Thank you.
Thanks.
My question is, since the game is inspired by Japanese culture and villages, how does your team make sure you are representing things appropriately? Also, I would love to know the thought process behind the creation of the storyline. Well, I'm glad I was the one reading the question.
This is a question for me. Let me tell you, a lot of hard work, and I still don't think I did a good enough job. I say we had a few people who did researching with me, but we got to a period where it was just me at the end, and I kind of oversaw all of it to make sure that every single piece of the game was representing Japan effectively, because most of us live in the West, and so like we were talking about earlier with what season is the rainy season, there's a lot of things that you do through a cultural eye that you don't even realize you're doing until somebody points it out. And it was my job as kind of the narrative director to make sure that that part of the narrative made it into every single aspect of the game. So that means it started from the bottom all the way. So that's map design, that's character design, that's story, that's even down to what plants we chose to be forageables, what animals are represented as wild animals, how the streets are laid out, how the town is laid out. One of my favorite things that I put a lot of effort to with Ken, who did all the modeling, was making sure all of the buildings not only represented Japan, but I should say didn't represent what I thought Japan looked like, and didn't even represent actual buildings in Japan, but also they reflect the history of SunnySide specifically from its founding all the way to modern day. So what we did with the architecture is that there are some buildings that are very, very classic Japanese architecture. There are some that are architecture from like the 70s. There's some that's architecture from the 90s, and there's some that's modern architecture. And everything in between to show how long this town has been here and how it's changed over the centuries. So every single aspect, the festivals had a bunch of cultural overhauls added to them. So it was a lot of work, a lot of research, a lot of going on Google Earth and finding towns in Japan that represent what we're trying to do, and going into them in Google Earth and going into shops and going into homes, or historical buildings, or looking at how streets are laid out, looking where they place signs. How much time did we put? So much time into this, Rainy. I feel like we still could have done better. But my goal with all of it has been that I want somebody who's Japanese, who was born and raised in Japan, to load into SunnySide and go, oh, this was made by a Japanese team. That was my goal, was when you're accepting somebody else's culture the way that we have with SunnySide and not being a part of that culture, again, we have a major responsibility to not only not offend people, but to also do it justice. So a big thing for me was I didn't want to romanticize anything. I didn't want to portray Japan through a Western lens. I didn't want to focus on all the positive stuff that Westerners love about Japan, and ignore the bad stuff. I wanted to mention the bad stuff too. So I want it to be literally as realistic as I possibly could get it. I hope we achieved it. But it was really important to me that if something wasn't done right, that's kind of what I want the playtest to tell us is, hey, this doesn't work. This is obviously too Western. Can you rethink this? And we will, because it's too important to me. So yeah. As for the thought process behind the creation of the storyline, I'm gonna let Rainy start with how you came up with the story.
Oh, right.
And then I will take over.
Are we talking about... Right, we're talking about the main storyline.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. So the main storyline of the... Yeah. So, I was inspired by Nier Automata. It's one of the games that I think is just incredibly written and presented. So, you know, I always wanted to make this world that is kind of rooted in reality and add this twist to it that there are these ancient race of robots that have been living there without anybody knowing all these years, and have just been kind of keeping things under control and making sure that the humans don't destroy the world. That was the initial idea, and that's where Sparky came from as well. But that idea got expanded and developed and changed quite a bit once we had to actually implement it, because it was very undeveloped, it was just an idea, and it needed to be turned into a whole narrative. So I think you can go from there.
Yeah, what I had, because when I came on, I remember asking Rainy, like, okay, you know, what's the story? And he was like, well, here's what I've got. And I was like, oh, who's writing it? And he's like, well, I don't know yet. And I was like, oh, so you need a writer. And that's how I got a job.
Yeah.
So I tried really hard to still stay true to the stuff that Rainy and Lauren wanted for the game. So anything that they promised ahead of time, I tried to stick to that as much as I could. And I use that as a groundwork for everything else. Rainy and I talk a lot about how true creativity is born from limitation, not from openness. So I'm actually really glad that you had set that as limitation, because it at least gave me like a leaping point. Because if you just told me like, well, we don't have a story, I've been like, well, crap. So that was the starting point. The other things that went into it were the other limitations of the game. So something that's always bothered me about farm games is the fact that you are living in this town with like 15 people, 20 people, 30 people maybe. It just feels really weird to me. Like, small towns still have like at least a couple hundred people in them. Like small town USA, one stop sign, you might still have 200 people in your town. So my big question was, how do I justify having only 30 people that you know? How do we make that make sense? Because it just bothered me. So that was a limitation to work within, was how do we talk about this? The other limitation was, and this is a real limitation of the game design itself, is people aging. In a game like this where people get older, if you don't account for that, it can reduce the immersion of the game. So we had to figure out, okay, are people going to age? And if they're not going to age, how do we justify that? Or how do we get around it? So everybody in the town is past a certain age where you don't really notice aging anymore, which is a huge reason why we don't have kids, because we do not have the ability to give you children getting older, which is what you deserve. And so if we couldn't do that, we had to justify it through the narrative. So there were all these little pieces that kind of came together. Like, also, the town is really small comparatively. So how do I justify that immersion breaking thing of the town being so tiny? So thankfully, not thankfully, that's a horrible way to phrase it, but luckily, I guess, there are real situations in Japan that actually reflect all of these limitations. And it is a real problem in Japan now that the small towns out in the countryside over the last 20, 30 years have been literally dying. People are moving away, children age up and move, parents die, and there are real towns in rural Japan now that have 15 or 20 people in them. And so once I found that, I started researching it a lot more, and that was what I pulled from to build the narrative. So that's why there's no children. That's why there's a general feeling of a lot of outsiders, because the SunnySide itself is trying to prevent going extinct. They're trying to prevent this real issue that's been happening to towns all over Japan, and that comes up in the main story quite a bit. So that was what I framed it around, was realism, really. As far as the story that Rainy had presented, that was a challenge in that it had to work more closely with the mechanics of the game, and that was really hard because we hadn't finished all of the mechanics. So I had to create a story that was adjustable to meet the needs of the mechanics once they were introduced. So we ended up looking really heavily at Japanese lore, specifically within Shintoism and within, what's the word I'm looking for? Mythology, I guess. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to go too far into it, because there's still a lot of it I want to be discovered by you guys, by the players. And I will give major spoilers if I go any further than that. But what I can say is every single part of the story is researched, referenced, and impactful in some way. That was really long-winded. I'm sorry.
Let's move on to the next question.
Well, I'm going to ask this quick question. Can I recommend books or documentaries on Japanese architecture? I don't have any, and that's what I mean by I could have done better. I don't have references. A lot of it was just crazy Googling and like taking a phrase, translating it into Japanese, and then Googling that Japanese phrase to make sure I got Japanese resources. So a lot of it was just looking at Edo period architecture and Googling that phrase in Japanese, and that actually gave me some better information. A lot of it for architecture specifically was literally Google Earth. It was just flying around and going to old towns that have been around since the Edo period and looking at their architecture. And then going to towns I knew were built in the 70s and looking at their architecture. That's really what it was, honestly. I could have done better, but I didn't. Okay, what's the next question?
You are supposed to ask it.
Oh, in the spirit of Halloween. Oh, I like the spirit of Halloween. What's the scariest thing about developing a game? I would love a different answer from both. All right,
the
you
different
first.
answer might be a bit difficult.
Yeah, it's gonna be the same answer.
But so 2 things. One is that we didn't explain something well enough, so that when you guys get the game, you don't understand either how it works or why it works the way it does. So essentially not explaining well why like certain things work a certain way. And the second one is just disappointing people. I hope we don't do that. Because again, we put so much of ourselves in this game that it's kind of like our baby that we're going to hand to you and hope that you like it.
Yeah. I could go really deep into this one about like rejection sensitivity and all that stuff, but I think really
not too short, but short enough for the rest of it. Yeah.
I'll try not to wax metaphorical on too much of this, but I think really the scariest thing is disappointing people. I think also for me, because I run the business side of it, the scariest thing for me is paying people. Not because I don't love paying people, it's literally my favorite part of the month. I love nothing more than sending out paychecks. The fear for me is not being able to do that. So my number one concern is making enough money so I can keep paying the people who have done so much work for us over the last 3 years. And my biggest fear is not being able to keep doing that, I think.
Right.
Next
Luna
one.
asks, are there any plans for SunnySide to be released for the Switch when it comes out? I love playing on PC, but I think it would be a nice option for people who don't have PCs.
Can't answer it.
You can't answer
Sorry.
that question. That's one of them.
Nope. That's going to be a December question. What has been your favorite part of developing SunnySide?
Figuring out how to make mundane tasks fun. That's been pretty interesting. And just looking through what's exciting about something that's otherwise mundane. Yeah, I think that's it.
That's a really gamifying stuff.
Yeah.
What has been my favorite?
And weather systems and how I can incorporate it into almost everything. That's been great.
I think for me, the most fun... Oh god, this is hard. My favorite thing to do, honestly, is the map design. I don't get sick of it. It's so much fun. Especially putting story into things. But bigger than that, from the actual design perspective, my favorite thing has really been looking at every single mechanic and cracking it open and saying, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this? What are we trying to achieve? And making sure that every single thing that we do is just dripping with intention.
Mm-hmm.
As weird as that sounds, that's been my favorite part, is I didn't want anything to be absent-minded. I want everything to feel like it was very intentional. And it's been a lot of fun to do. To look at other games, go, how did they do this? How can we do better? How can I improve on that? How can I make this more fun for the players? That's been really rewarding, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Squawk
What system
asks.
Oh yeah, was that me or you?
That's me. Squawk
okay,
asks. I don't know if that's a
Squawk.
Well, I don't know if that's an aircraft term or not, but I play a lot of flight sims. Anyway.
Yeah, you do.
Squawk 7700. Anyway, what systems that you already announced you are most excited for us to experience? This is kind of really the same question as the first one. I went the first last time. You go again. You can give the same answer if you want. Or
what system have we already announced the most excited?
For me, it's the social system again. I'll lay that out.
For you, I know it's social system.
Maybe I
think
can say
for
my
me,
second favorite is maybe cooking. Yeah.
I think for me, it's actually farming.
Farming, yes.
Yeah, because, like I said, my favorite thing has been cracking open systems and figuring out how we can improve on them. And I think the improvements that we've made to the farming system are so exciting and unique and realistic, and I think it's going to be so different from what everybody is used to. For instance, seeds are so much cheaper than you're used to. In fact, I'm pretty sure people are going to get to the point where they have more seeds than they know what to do with, which is exactly what I wanted. The economy works completely different from what you're used to. So it's no longer plant in the beginning of the season, wait for the harvest at the end of the season when you make all of your money. It doesn't work that way. There are so many plants. The growth patterns are so different. And the whole point of our farm system, literally, is to explore and have fun. It's not about min-maxing profit. It's not about, space saving or figuring out, all of this. Like I said, we said earlier, everything that you've learned from every other farm game does not apply to SunnySide. And I'm really excited to see people explore the system and I'm looking forward to seeing people min-max it, because you can't use previous methods to min-max our system. It's just not possible. And I'm looking forward to people making charts and breaking it down and cracking open the system and seeing how it works, because it's so unique and really cool. I'm really excited about it.
I want to quickly launch the game, so when I do that, it's going to be loud for a second while I adjust you.
You can definitely build a big orchard. It's going to be a little bit harder right at the start because trees are definitely more expensive. They're not as expensive as some other games, but compared to how much the seeds cost, trees are very expensive, because that's, again, realism. Something that we did with SunnySide that I'm really happy with is we didn't try to create a unique economy. Our economy is realism based. So what we did for finding prices for things is I just looked up how much stuff costs in Japan. So we used a very real economy so that you don't have to figure stuff out, which does mean that trees ended up being significantly more expensive with what your starter money is. This little piece of hair does not want to go where I want it to go. But yeah. Right.
Next one, I think I read, right?
Yeah, maybe.
So Zetsumi asks, I think the game was announced for Switch already, but to piggyback off this, there are rumors of a new Nintendo console launching next year. Has the team thought about potentially releasing the game on the Switch 2 instead of the addition to Switch? This goes back to
this one.
Well, doesn't this go back to the stuff we can't talk about? But we go ahead.
Yes and no. Because I've been thinking about this one. He's right. We can't talk about this. What I can talk about is specifically with the Switch 2. I've been seeing concerns from other Kickstarter games about Switch 2 and what that means for people who backed with Switch 2. And the only thing that I want to say is that it's something that we have to consider. And it's an unfortunate realism of launching a game between consoles. So what I hope is that you guys all trust that we consider you guys as a studio with RainyGames. We aren't going to be looking at making decisions purely for the sake of making money. That's not our perspective. However, there is business sides to things that we do have to consider. So what I hope is that we can't say anything about this now. What I want to say is that when we do get to talk about this stuff, what I'm asking is that you guys, I don't want to say trust us, but trust that we're never going to do anything purposefully to screw you guys over. That's not our intention with any. And I hope you guys believe that when I say that. Is it something that we've talked about? Well, I mean, obviously, when we started hearing about Switch 2, we're like, oh shit, that's going to be a thing. We're going to have to actually consider that now, because it's not something we had to think about before. So obviously we're thinking about stuff. What decisions we're coming to and how that's impacting things we can't talk about. But yeah, we have discussions about everything all the time. We've been talking about the Activision acquisition nonsense because it's game industry stuff and we think that's interesting. So is something we think about? Yes. Is something we can talk about? No. And when we can talk about it, we will. That sounded very confusing.
You did your best.
TLDR, we love you guys. We don't ever want to hurt you. Please don't think that we ever would. And I say that because I've seen a lot of people getting upset about other Kickstarter games, and there's this assumption of like, oh, if you didn't do this, because you obviously want to take our money, and that's never going to be our intention. So I really just want to mitigate anybody ever thinking that, because that would break my absolute heart. Okay. Let's see. What are you most excited for once the game releases, or what part of the game are you most excited to see people play? I'm patiently waiting for the release of the game. That's from Inferno. What am I most excited for once the game releases? What are you most excited for once the game
Reaction to music?
That's what I was gonna say.
Especially some of the tracks that we have that are a bit more out there. But also parts of the game that nobody expected, especially people who have not followed development expected. So like suddenly they're like going into the caves and they're like, oh, there's fighting in this game and it's turn-based and it's got this music I want to dance to. That'll be pretty fun. But also crying. Please cry about the stories.
Oh, the crying.
If I make people truly emotionally invested in the story, that's it. That's the biggest win for me. Is making people emotionally invested in our story and characters.
Yeah. I think honestly my answer is the same. It's the music. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to happen after SunnySide, honestly. This story ended up writing itself, and I feel like there's so much more that we can do with it.
Yeah,
and I would love to chase those avenues. Like I said, we definitely track the marketplace, and don't think I haven't noticed that Stardew Valley is having a concert tour. You know, so there are things that happen in the industry that I'm like, oh, maybe we could do that someday.
Yeah,
and it gets me really excited for those possibilities.
Also, shout out to anybody who managed to get tickets because they sold out really quickly.
Seriously.
And I hope you all have a fantastic time if you're going.
Hey, so somebody asked a question in the chat, and I was wondering if you could do me a favor and just add a seed pack to your inventory.
Oh,
like
right.
a SunnySide seed pack.
Yep.
Because I figured we could just answer that real quick, and
we can. What was the question?
I feel like I'm gonna is it Aji or Ahi? You pronounced it earlier better than I could.
I just said Aji. I don't know if I was wrong.
Aji.
Say,
can I buy crops from the store and take the seed out of it and then plant? I just got this crazy idea.
Right, we're gonna teleport back home, and I'm going to.
Not a crazy idea.
I did order some seeds actually from SunnySide when we started. I don't know if they're gonna deliver it. If they don't, we can add it to the inventory. Let's see.
I don't want to wait. Just add it to your inventory.
Okay. Right. So I'm going to
Oh,
add something to my inventory. We just do strawberry because it's what I always do. So we're gonna do SunnySide strawberry seeds, and we do 5 packs of it. So I just added that to my. I don't know. I just added that to my inventory. Oh no, actually, they did deliver my orders. There it is.
There you go.
Sorry, I got some time.
Go get your seeds.
I got time. So let's just do the time because that's more fun. So I got packs of seed from SunnySide, and I'm gonna go and try to plant it. Right? If you guys remember the alpha, that's how it worked. So we're gonna go close to my shed because I have a water source over there that will allow me to water my crops really quickly and easily. So let's go ahead and dig a plot of land over here. Just that. And then if I try to hold this, I can't actually plant anything because we kind of revamped the system. What you will need to do is that you need to open your inventory, and then in your inventory you can open these packs. So when I press open pack, I get time seeds. The amount of seed you get in a pack is randomized. You actually can see how much seed you're going to get per pack in SunnySide's menu itself. But I'm going to open all of these packs, and by just ordering 12 packs of time, I now have 142 time seeds. So here's the thing. When we say forget what you know about how you go about farming sims, it's not from a place of just being proud and egotistic about our game is better. No, we genuinely mean it. It works very differently. We hope for the better. We think it's for the better. But yeah, you get packs of seed from SunnySide, but I'm not a gardener IRL or a farmer. Sydney had more experience with gardening, and I know there's a lot of people on the server who had. But there's always been this discussion about the fact that I order seeds, I have so much left on my hand I don't know what to do with. Because that's just how it works.
A real problem.
And that is going to be a case in SunnySide. And if you want to talk about it from a pure game design perspective, there isn't really a gameplay mechanic over how many seeds you have or how many seeds you need to exactly buy and manage your money for. You are pretty much always going to have more seeds than you know what to do with, and the difficulty and the gameplay loop is placed in other places, and that's why the game design of SunnySide is very different when it comes to that. So you always have so many seeds, and you get more from plants too. You don't even need something like a seed maker. You can just grab potatoes and put more potatoes into the ground.
I was, this is a big shout out to Epic Gardening and Kevin Espiritu. I was really inspired by watching his videos and his journey in building his own homestead in Southern California. And one of the things that he does every spring and every fall is he goes through his seeds and what he's planting that season. And there's so much joy and excitement involved, because it's like, look how pretty this plant is. I can't wait to see what it looks like when it grows. And that was the feeling that I wanted to capture with SunnySide. I didn't want it to be, I can't wait to make money off of this, because that's not what real life gardeners are about. If you're growing plants at home, the excitement is in seeing what you can grow for yourself. And my goal was to capture real life gardening and farming in a video game. So we didn't want an economy simulator. We wanted a farming simulator. And I think this specific mechanic with having to open up the seeds, the seed packs are cheap. They're $3-5, I think, cupules. And then you get 10-20 seeds per pack. It's completely different from everything you guys are used to. And my goal that lines up with Kevin's goal at Epic Gardening is inspiring people to grow their own food. And my dream is that this system inspires people to do that. And hopefully we did enough of a job that works. So I guess it goes back to the answer of what are you most excited for once the game releases, what part of the game are you most excited to see people play. It's the farming, because I'm really excited to see if we really can inspire people to try to grow their own food. That's my goal. So
what do you have next?
Do crops still have a seed stage? Yes, some of them. If they should, they will. If they shouldn't, they don't. I always wondered about potato seeds in games. Potato seeds are just potatoes. Exactly. That's how it works in SunnySide. Okay. All right, back to the questions.
Yep.
This was one I wanted to answer, so you go ahead and ask the question.
Yep. So I am really curious about how many options I will have as a lesbian. The gender system sounds really neat, and I personally wouldn't be comfortable playing as a guy, so I'm really curious from the scale of 4 to 14 romance options where I end up landing.
So what I can't give is specific information, because the phrase lesbian in SunnySide doesn't actually mean a whole lot. The reason for that is because you don't have the choice between male, female, or non-binary. You have, 20 different options to choose from?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So we have, essentially you create your body in the game, which doesn't bear anything on the gender stuff. And then once you have created that, then you have a slider that you can put anywhere on the scale from feminine to neutral to masculine. And then that is your identity, we say. We call it in the game. But what you do, what actions you decide to take or who you decide to chase isn't really anywhere. That's just what you do in the game. Yeah. If you identify as a female and you want to go after a female character, then yes, I suppose you would be playing as a lesbian. But you don't select anything in there. It's just what actions you take.
But if the question is how many female characters are attracted to female players, I can't answer that either, because there are so many options within that female category. So for instance, there are heterosexual male NPCs in the game that are not attracted to all women. So there's nobody in the game that covers a whole category. There are male characters in the game, or characters who identify as male in the game, who are only into hyper feminine women. So if you're not a hyper feminine female, you can't romance that person, even if you're on the female side of the scale. And there's only a couple like that, but that's why I can't really answer the question, because it's very complicated. There are characters who like people who choose the female side of the slider, but not all of them. And some of those characters are male and some of them are female. So there are NPCs who will like people on both sides. There are some NPCs who only like people in the middle. There are some NPCs who only like people on one extreme or the other. And there are some people who like certain pockets of both sides. So it depends on you, really. Depending on where you fall on that slider, you're gonna get pretty much about 10 to 14 no matter what. At that point, the limitation's on you. So if you only want to go to the self-identifying female ones, there might be a couple that don't qualify. If you're super hyper feminine, you might be ruling out some women for yourself. So it's something you're going to have to explore. And I encourage everybody, when they choose that gender selector, that you really think about it. Don't just slide it all the way to the left and go, I'm a girl, and just run off. That is not how it works. And you might be ruling people out if you didn't think, am I really a super hyper feminine woman? Or do I have more of the masculine traits? Do I fall more in the middle? Do I lean on both sides? Do I whatever? I want people to really think about it. And I think there might be people who don't like it, honestly. And I won't be shocked if it's like the first mod that comes out that it's like romance everybody. But kind of like I said earlier with responsibility, we have a responsibility to say something, I guess. And this was the thing that we wanted to say, was that you need to think about it. It's a choice that you really have to make. And you shouldn't be changing yourself to meet the needs of the person that you want to romance. It doesn't work that way. If I'm in real life and there's a guy that I like and he's gay and he only likes other men, it is what it is. I'm not going to go get gender surgery just so that I can date somebody. That's not how it works. So it should be more about you and how you identify, and then what you get out of that is what you get. And the only thing you're locking out is those 5 romance scenes. You still have a whole friendship and a whole relationship and a whole interpersonal relationship with every single character.
We never block out any friendship events.
Yeah, we're not blocking out heart events or anything, heart events like you get in other games. You still have a whole thing you can go through. It's just there's a little bit beyond that you just won't get access to. So, God, I hope I explained that right. Let's see. And that's it, is I don't really want people trying to calculate, oh, what do I have to do to make this person like me? I want you to be you and be the person you want to be. And you get the people that you get. And then if at some point you look at the wiki and you decide, okay, that's what I want to do, that's on you. I didn't make that choice for you. The choice that I'm giving you is be you. Because I feel like it's our responsibility to let people do that. So. What's next?
Next up we have...
I think this is me. Will we get to know the romanceable... Oh, this is actually the same question. Okay. Will we get to know the romanceable characters' dating preferences at some point, or are we meant to find out when we play the game ourselves? I'd hate to have my eye on a certain character, but then have to start again because they're not interested in the character I made. That's from Mandy. This kind of goes back to the same thing. Do you want me to just keep explaining it, or do you want to say anything about that?
No, you continue. I think you...
So... I'm gonna keep kind of saying the same thing over and over again. So I want to make sure I'm clarifying as much as I can. SunnySide is not a romance simulation. That's not the purpose. It's an interpersonal relationship simulator. And what that means is there's way more to your life than who you get to date. And that's the part of life that I want to explore. Because I feel like it's more fulfilling. It's not about getting married. It's not about having kids. It's not even about romance itself. It's about how close you can
God.
be to other people. What?
Never mind. Don't worry about it.
Oh.
I was just showing fishing because somebody asked about it.
So, will there be like an official table or an official signal in the game telling you who everybody's romance like preferences are? No, because I don't want to encourage people to be anything other than who they actually are, especially sacrificing themselves for the needs of a potential love interest. That's not something I would ever encourage anybody to do in real life. I would never encourage you to change yourself because there's some guy you like or some girl you like and you want them to like you. So I couldn't feel good about myself encouraging you to do that inside of a video game either. I think that's the best way I can phrase it. Again, if somebody puts a wiki together and you guys look for that information on your own, that's on you, and that's fine. But from an official standpoint, it's not something that we want to encourage. In the same vein, it's why we don't have little markers on the map for like showing you where all the NPCs are. Because that's stalking and it's creepy. And it's not behavior that we want to encourage. So there's a lot of like social aspects in this that we have a responsibility to be cognizant, aware of, I guess. So short answer, no. There will not be an official signifier. And same thing with the next question that we have is, are we going to be able to change the gender of our player character at all during game, or is it locked in from setup? It's locked in, and this goes to the same thing. There isn't a reason to change it. There's no point where you have to, like, oh, I want to be a different gender for this purpose. Be you. Choose who you are, and then play the game from there. Now, can you change the way you look? Sure. But that's about it. Yeah.
I would also have to add that it's also more of a system limitation as well.
Also true.
A lot of the romance calculations that we do would go haywire if that number is changed in the game. Also, because we allow you to essentially have multiple partners at one time, not like people. This is confusing. I'm not alluding to polyamory.
No. Do you want me to explain it?
You can test the field, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. You play the field.
So
there's.
I'm trying to say.
We've explained this in other streams, and if you want a really in-depth explanation, you can go back and watch some of the other ones. But the gist of it is, the romances are split into two sections. You've got 5 scenes, and at some point in one of the scenes, you have to lock in the romance. You have to commit to the person. Up to that point, you can date whoever you want. Sorry, I knocked something over. Up to that lock-in point, that commitment that you make to a specific character, you can date whoever you want. Once you commit to one person, you're locked out of everybody else. Again, back to real life. So you can test the waters in the beginning. You can see how the romances are with other people. You can see if there's somebody that you connect with more. And then hopefully, naturally, at some point, there's somebody you're going to pay more interest in. And you're going to get their little lock-in point. We are giving a bit of a notification when your lock-up point is coming, so it doesn't surprise you. So hopefully nobody gets locked in anything they don't want. Okay. And Mandy, you're right. Not everyone's play as themselves. But it's more about the person that you want to play within the confines of the game. So, for instance, when I test, I don't make myself. I make, like, the ideal version of me and what I would look like. And then I usually choose a specific area of the gender slider that I don't think represents me in real life, but it's what I choose to be in the game. So I think that's more accurate, is be who you want to be within the confines of the game. Be yourself in those aspects. If you want to be a male character in the game, who you are on the outside of the game doesn't make any difference, but that's what you're choosing for that run. So that's kind of more what I meant, was be who you want to be within that little area. Okay. What was the most surprisingly easy thing to do? Such as designing the skill tree, making the car work, writing dialogue. what was the most surprisingly difficult thing to do? This is from Pierre Despero. So when you were making stuff, Rainy, is there a mechanic or programming thing that you came upon that was surprisingly easy and something that was surprisingly difficult?
That's a good question. Surprisingly difficult was both the social system and the battle. I thought they were going to be pretty straightforward, but a lot of innovation had to be made. So essentially there were days where I was just looking at the screen or talking with Sydney, trying to establish stuff from scratch. And that was very difficult to try to figure out what the system is going to need, because you either have the system designed so that the people who make the content, whether that's writers or artists, go in and make it within the confines of the system, or you design the system within the confines of the writing. Neither of those were present, so you had to essentially establish one of them and then continue from
before
there.
we could establish the other.
I think my camera is stopped. Okay. Oh, there we go. That didn't do that. There we go. And then surprisingly easy was achievements, I would say.
Those were fun.
Those were very fun. Yeah, that was surprising to
knock out.
But also just a lot of weather related stuff, because we already had this great weather system in place that allows us to just quickly and easily hook stuff to it. So, you know, whether your plants, your crops get watered, that's the simplest one. But like, how much power does your wind turbine generate, or how much power does your solar panels generate, depending on the sun and depending on the wind? Those were really fun too, and easy to hook up.
Yeah. I think for me, the surprisingly easy one was actually the cooking recipes.
Yeah.
I was so scared of it, and then once I sat down and actually started doing it, those just happened, and they came out so fast, and I was really surprised. But the surprisingly difficult thing for me, the thing that took so much longer than I thought it was going to take, was writing the daily dialogues.
Yeah.
I struggled. So I hope you guys love them, because that was probably my least favorite part of all of development, was having to write a different dialogue. I think it's what is it? It's something like 35 lines per NPC or something. No, it's way more than that. It's closer to 100. And like I said earlier, I would do 3 to 5 in a day, and personality hopping like that. I hated every second of that. I was so glad to be done with it. So yeah, definitely a daily dialogue. Do you mind, Rainy? I really have to go to the bathroom. I don't know if you see me dancing.
That's fine. You go for it. I'll answer some
entertain
questions.
People while I run off for a second?
Hold on. There you go. You're off camera, and I don't have a background because I was not prepared for this. But yes, okay, let's spill the beans since Sydney has left. I'm going to talk to you guys about the release date. No, I'm not going to. I wish. What part, Pierre asks again, what part of the game did you have the most fun making? I'm trying not to give the same answer as the achievement stuff. Let's see. The most fun. Again, the weather-related stuff was just too much fun. Because when you see the world around you affecting the things that you're doing, that is just... It's good game design in my mind. When I see that in other games, like imagine Zelda. You're playing Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, and you're running around and you realize it starts raining. So you're like, okay, how about I just leave something metallic near the enemy who I'm fighting, and then the lightning's gonna hit them and that's extra damage. The game design is incredible. So whenever I see a moment where I can get the world interacting with something you're doing, it's fantastic. So weather-related stuff has been really fun. But also NPC-related stuff. That was in a lot of help from Sydney, realizing that at what points in the story the friendships that you've made with other NPCs or the time you invested into them would give you extra things that you can do. Maybe you can create new stuff because this NPC is willing to create something for you, or that kind of I guess intertwined game design. That's been really fun. How much did you customize the weather system? Quite a lot. So we used a plugin called Ultra Dynamic Sky and Weather, but we heavily changed it. Not just the area that it connects to all the other systems that we have in the game, but just how it works and how it affects not just the gameplay, but also the visual side of things. It looks very different than how it does out of the box. We made it look a lot more anime and kind of stylized, because we didn't want to have super realistic clouds in the sky. That would have just been kind of weird. So yeah, I'm going to move on to the next question. When Sydney comes back, she can answer that. Catman for Life asks, will we be able to get additional helpers for our farms, ranches, or as we scale up, are we giving ourselves more work? That's a very good question, because there was a point where we discussed having Sparky kind of become your helper in the farm, right? That really didn't continue past the point of discussion. So we don't have a system where Sparky would help you in the farm. However, a lot of the systems that we have in the game that are scaled or scalable, I guess, like farming, food crafting, or animals and stuff like that, they're designed in such a way that you are given opportunities to upgrade. And these upgrades often end into a kind of an automation state. Sydney's back. Let's switch to the double.
I'm back.
Hello.
Thanks for being patient.
So while you don't have somebody specifically coming and help you on the farm, you will have technology to help you on the farm, I guess. Yeah. I moved. There was another question that I just answered, which was, what part of the game did you have the most fun making? If you want to answer that.
Yeah. No.
You don't want to.
Maybe the map.
The map.
Which I kind of said already, but like the beginning of the map when we transitioned it from like the demo map to the actual SunnySide map, and like using Gaia and creating the landscape and all that stuff. That was a lot of fun. Oh, you didn't dance for them.
I just saw that now. I spilled.
Did
the
you
beans
answer?
when you were away.
I'm sure you did. Did you answer this? Does making one recipe result in having 2 or more portions of the dish?
I did not. No.
Okay. The answer is potentially yes, depending on what you're making. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And the output of a cooking is not always 1-to-1.
No.
You can make something
It's
and
very
get a lot
rarely
at the end of it. Yeah.
It's very rarely 1-to-1. Yeah. All right, where are we at?
Damn it.
Let's see. I saw you were answering the will we get additional helpers part, which
Yeah.
I don't need to. That's a you question.
Yeah. Okay. So, what are your most favorite things to do in game when you're playing? I assume farming, exploring the games, going out on dates, playing crane game, just walking around. I love
Wait,
just
what did you
walking
say?
around.
Sorry, I was reading Ren's
Pierre asked, "What are your most favorite things to do in the game when you're playing?" I.e., farming, exploring the caves, going on dates, playing crane game, just walking around.
What's your
I like
favorite?
just walking around. I like exploring.
Yeah, you do.
And although I know everything, this is what I love doing most, is seeing the world in different time of day and different weather and different seasons.
Well, you also didn't design the map, so for you,
it's a lot of surprises to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is again why just going out on hangouts and stuff is fun too, because I get reminded of how the writing is, and I don't. I guess I have a blessing that I don't really. My memory doesn't work too well when it comes to like stories. So if I go back to it. Yeah, if I go back to a game like a few months after I've already finished it, I remember the beats of the story, but I don't remember the details. So I end up enjoying it again, which is great. But in terms of SunnySide, I just remind myself of like, oh, this is really good, or this is really funny, and it's great, it's fun. But just driving and riding the bicycle around the map is really fun. And sometimes just that's why we have the Zen mode system where you could just go sit somewhere and listen to the wind.
I think for me, because I QA way more than you do, and the thing that I love, no matter how many times I do it, no matter, because there's a point where you know when you've played through the main storyline, the tutorials and stuff at the beginning of the game, once you've done it for like the 6th time in a week, it's a little bit boring, and you're just like, all right, let's just get through this. First time fun, 12th time not so much. But the thing that I never get sick of, really, is the farming system. I genuinely love it. I lay out my farm in a completely different way every single time that I do it. Now, especially that we've implemented all the skill tree stuff and you're limited on what you can buy in the beginning. I love it's so much fun. Like because of like where all the trees and the rocks are, you're kind of, again, limitation breeds creativity, so you have to figure out how to go around stuff at the beginning, which I really like. But it's not like in your way, it just forces you to be more creative. Whereas I feel like with a lot of other games, it's like, ugh, the thing's in my way, it's breaking up my perfect little patterns, I can't wait to get the axe to knock down that tree or whatever. With our game, it's like, oh, that's kind of in my way, but like, how can I still make this look good by going around it? I think because you're in like a different perspective.
Yeah.
I was talking about this the other night with one of our testers. What truly makes the farming system so unique, and the reason I have so much fun with it, is you're not locked into that like grid mentality. Like, the plants are on the grid, but nothing else has to be. So you can build your fences or your pathways or anything else you want completely off grid and make it look so natural and interesting and exciting and real, that it's a blast. And I think once people get into it and realize what they're capable of, the farms that we're going to see people make,
I'm really so excited about it. Actually, you know what? We had a question earlier that like, what are you most excited to see players do? Just the stuff you guys would make, because that is already fun to see QA do. Just the stuff that they do, the players do with like build mode or just the farms and stuff. They send us like photos of the farms that they made, and you look at it and like, wow, I didn't know that was possible with the system. Yeah.
One of our testers has done like 4 or 5 farms in the last couple weeks, and every time it looks different, and every time it's so unique. And we were talking about, there's a couple different plants in real life that spread like crazy, that grow on vines, things like pumpkins and sweet potato, and we did that so they come outside of your like grow area. And at first it looks like a bug, but then you really look at it and you're like, oh god, that's really pretty. And it's it looks so natural and like wild and organic. I love it. It's so great. So yeah, that's what I always play with, is the farming system. I think it's so much fun and endless and awesome. Okay, another one from Pierre Despero. Where in the game would you like to live? I.e. SunnySide Town, Player's Farm, Higashi, etc. Well, I already know Rainy's answer.
What is my answer, actually?
You want to live in Higashi. You're like all about that Tokyo life.
Well, no, actually. IRL, I would love to live in the suburbs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I don't like I lived my whole life in the capital city. I had enough of it. So, yeah, Sunnyside, I would say the area that is maybe closer to the beach. I like that part of the map. Like, kind of similar to where Kyle lives. Yeah.
So, like Farm 2.
Farm 2, I guess, yeah. Hold on. I'll show everyone what area I'm talking about.
Yeah, actually, he's going to show you exactly where on the map he would live.
Yes. Where's the PR camera? I'm going to use the PR camera.
Oh, PR camera. This actually answers a question on if there's controller support.
Oh,
and
yes.
The answer is yes.
We are still working on getting it fully supported, because it's like partially supported at the moment, which is, somebody else also asked, is the game's going to be Steam Deck approved? We'd love to. We probably would. I don't know yet, because it comes down to performance, but controller support is going to be a thing. That's for sure. That's the area I'm talking about over there. Yeah. Where Carl's farm is. Not farm. House.
I think if I were to live anywhere in Sunnyside, it would actually be Farm 5.
Which is kind of close to where I am, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I'm 30 seconds behind, so I don't know exactly where you're at, but...
I don't have the whole map loaded because the player isn't here.
Right. Yeah. It's a little further away from the city. I'm more about, like, seclusion. And I like having things close enough that if I want to take an hour to drive in, I can, but it's not so close that it, like, is in my way. Okay, so you would want Kyle's house, then. That's what
I'd
I'm
say
seeing.
so, yeah. I want to
Um,
drive there now so the map can load. The PR camera doesn't load maps, so that's why it looks so
Yeah.
bad.
But farm 5 is like the last farm that you can unlock and buy. And it's kind of in the back. It has its own like private area. It's got like a river and water and a lake next to it.
Sorry, Kyle.
And I literally built that whole area off of like my own personal dreams of where I would want to live. So I think that's definitely it. So I'm just reading people. What can you tell us about pets like dogs and cats? There are dogs and there are cats. So our pets are limited to cats and dogs. We wanted to do more, but it was harder than we thought it was going to be. So it's just cats and dogs. Will we add more later? I'd love to. It's going to come down to DLC discussions, stuff like that, so I can't really make any promises. But for the dogs and the cats, there's like 6 different like color variations for each of them for dogs and cats. I can tell you that you have to adopt them in Higashi. And they're going to help keep foxes and raccoons off of your farm. I'll admit, pets is a system we didn't flesh out nearly as much as I would have liked.
Yeah. Same.
It's just there's just freaking so much in this game, honestly, that there were some things we kind of had to sacrifice if we wanted the game to come out in a timely manner. So there are things that got sacrificed. I was just gonna say, pets is kind of one of them. Customization is one of them. So you can't customize your car. You can't like paint your house. You can't customize your furniture. You can customize your clothing colors, but anything outside of that is just a whole separate thing that we have to program and design. So will we never do it? But not for on release. No.
I'm just gonna say we'd love to.
We would love to, but want and able to, unfortunately, in video game design are 2 completely different things.
So I'm streaming because there was a question related to the skill tree, and I think it's the next one. If it isn't, could be skipped to it so I can show it. Can
you maybe share a reason or 2 why you decided to change the skill tree, and maybe in what way? Sure. So
I'll show you guys.
Yeah, he's going to show you. I'm going to give you some lead in. So the original way that we designed the skill tree was that when you zoom into it, it show you like an actual physical branch on the tree. What we realized way too late was that limited what skills we could do, because we'd have to model the branch and then connect to it, and then it would reflect on the actual tree. And it was so unnecessarily complicated, and it was more important to us that we give you a skill tree that would be fun to actually use. So we sacrifice some of that visual experience for like actually unlocking skills. It's still awesome. I still love it. We just had to make a lot of changes to how it works.
But yeah, you're looking at the new UI, and yeah, as Sydney said, we just had to make it a lot more easy to use. It was really difficult to just have to click on the actual branches and stuff. So we were like, okay, we're going to keep the okay, sorry, my camera was stuck again. We're gonna keep the cool visuals at the start, but when you actually go into the skills, we're gonna kind of go for just a more UI approach, which gives you a lot more info. It's a lot easier to see and follow what you need to do. And this is one of the skills, crafting and building. Which, as you can see, as I talked about, for instance, to get this skill, I need to be crafting and building level 3, which I get XP for when I do more of that specific thing, kind of like, I guess, Skyrim. And I need 1 metal scrap, and I can acquire it using that. But yeah, the rest of it is still on the tree, as you can see. So if I click on one, then yeah.
I'm really happy with it. I think a lot of really cool ideas kind of came together the more we worked on it, and just it's really fun. So yeah. Let's see. Oh, how long is a day in the game compared to real life, from when you wake up until you have to go to bed? That's a great question.
Pardon me. Currently, every day is exactly 15 minutes, I believe. 15 or 20? 18. Oh, yeah, 18.
I think it's 18. Yeah.
Every day is
but
18
the real
minutes.
answer...
Real answer is you can change it.
The real answer is whatever you want.
Yeah, as you saw quickly. In the general, we have a day length, and you can go from different minutes. It's not working right now, but yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, I think it's what 15 is the fast end and 20 is the slow end.
I think 12 is the quickest.
12. Oh wow.
20 is the longest.
20 is the fast. Yeah, or the long. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a minimum to how many pets you can adopt at once? Depends how many beds you have on your farm.
Yeah, and we haven't tested it.
Yeah.
But we have made sure the system is optimized enough so you can do as many as you want. Then we might have to
on PC.
Yes, on PC. We might have to put an arbitrary limitation on it in case it becomes a problem if you have, I don't know, 500 pets.
Yeah.
Like that.
But yeah, technically the limit for how many you can purchase at one time is how many beds you have.
I'll let you guys know there's an achievement which you can only get if you have 50 pets. So
did we really do that?
We did do that. That was your idea.
I love it. It's something funny too, the name, if I remember right.
Our
achievements are great, guys. We had so much fun naming them, and some of them are
Rescue 50 Pets is called Forever Home.
Forever Home.
Like Forever Home.
Forever Home, yeah. My favorite achievement, I don't think is a locked one. I think it's a public one. It's called Notice Me, Senpai.
Oh, yeah. It's the complete 50 love quests.
It's my absolute favorite. I think that's so funny.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
I think that's everything. That was a long one.
We've been here for 15 minutes to 3 hours. It's been 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah.
What? We started it. It's been 2 hours and 45 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking about your weird math.
No, I have it up in the corner.
So, I was just looking at the clock. Person.
All right. Well, thank you everybody again for making us part of your Sunday, and I hope that the announcement we made today have been positive part of your day. If you join midway through, as soon as we press the end stream button, you are going to get this video on the channel as a full video. Thankfully, this is YouTube, so that's never going to go away. You can always watch it back if you want to. And again, if you have a friend or a family that's interested in SunnySide, send them the video. And and we hope that you enjoy the MVP that is coming up next week. It's been a very long time since we got a lot of players, real players, into the game. So we're just as excited as we're a little bit scared.
We're terrified.
We're terrified.
He's being humble. We're absolutely terrified that you guys are going to hate the game. But no, I think we're really excited just to get people to test it and let us know what they think. And part of it is like there's a lot of bugs we know we need to get fixed, and you guys are going to help with us a little bit, but it's also just knowing that all these things that we changed and that we innovated on, I would love to just get some feedback that we're on the right path and we didn't completely screw all of our chances. That's what I want to make sure, that all these systems are fun for you guys. That's my biggest concern. So
and keep an eye, as always, keep an eye on your email. Not as always. Yes. Make sure to keep an eye on your emails.
No, as always.
As always. Yeah.
Keep an eye on your email.
This time from merch. And you are going to get a key this coming week, and then you can get to play on Friday. And again, don't forget, on Discord, specific channels, you can chat and talk about it and share stuff about it and stream it in or hang out with other players. We love that kind of stuff. We might join you. We probably will join you.
Oh, we will, absolutely. And if we see anybody streaming the game in the NDA QA section of or playtest section of the Discord server, 100% Rainy and I will hop in. If that freaks you out and you don't want us in there, please feel free to tell us to go away, that we're scaring you. But if you're cool with it, we will absolutely hop in and watch, because that's the best way to get an idea of how you guys feel about
it's
it.
just see how you guys interact with the game and enjoy it.
So,
And yeah,
I'm gonna just
Give your
emphasize a couple things.
end notes.
This playtest is for Kickstarter and backer kit early access purchasers. It is running from October 27th to November 13th. It is a limited run. It will end. When it ends, your keys will be shut off. That means that you will not get access after November 13th. So if you miss it, you miss it. There's nothing we can do about it. Please don't miss your email. Please fill out the survey for us. It is under NDA, which means you will not be able to share it with anybody. You will not be able to stream it. You will not be able to make YouTube videos about it. You can talk about other people in our area of the Discord only, because you will only be talking to people who also have access. It is being run through Merge, not through us. So all the communication is coming from Merge. If you are a Kickstarter backer or backer kit person, I'm going to put out a Kickstarter update that's going to have an email address that you can email if you didn't get your key, because it's not us. There's nothing I can do about it. So I'll make sure you guys know who you can talk to if you don't get your key between tomorrow and the 27th, and you think you were supposed to get one. You'll have somebody that you can email to figure that out to make sure you get access. I think that's everything. And anything that we didn't answer, don't miss the December 3rd. Why did we do everything on the 13th? Very weird.
That's true.
Don't miss the December 13th live stream. It's going to be awesome. You're going to see some cool stuff that we've been waiting a very long time to share with you. Please be there. And you're going to be hearing us shouting about that live stream literally until the day it happens. So expect to see a lot of Twitter posts, and we're going to be talking about it in the Discord, and we're going to be talking about it everywhere because we want everybody to be there. So do not miss that stream.
Yeah. And with that,
I think that's everything.
if you haven't wishlisted SunnySide, you can do so on Steam. If you know people who would be interested in wishlisting the game or hearing more about it, please do share it with them. You can join our Discord server if you haven't already. Lots of cool stuff that happens over there. And Twitter as well. X. I'm not calling it Twitter. I'm not calling it X. What am I saying? I'm not calling it X.
It's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
It will always be Twitter.
/PlaySunnySide. And again, thank you, and we hope you have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you around. Y'all have a good day. Bye.